Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have returning guest Rob Gutro. He is a medium. We had him on last time to talk a lot about his ability to communicate with pets on the other side, and to me that's an amazing ability. But we're definitely gonna have to keep talking about that because there's so much more you want to know about your pets or your family on the other side. And that was such an interesting topic. I think it was 2 years ago, since we had him on. But he has a book out called Kindred Spirits: When a Medium Befriends a Spirit. It's about him meeting his husband's I guess not. I keep wanting to say ex. I said Rob corrected me, not ex. His deceased fiance, or I don't know if they were married. We'll get into that. But imagine having you having a relationship with somebody and finding out that person's talking to your previous partner on the other side. The information they would know on you. It make things kind of complicated and interesting too, I would think. So we're going to get into that, and then we will open up the phone lines later in the show. You can call in and ask questions of Rob. Really not doing readings tonight. I mean, something might come through for you, but we're not totally doing readings. If you've got a question for Rob tonight, we'll get those phone lines out to you after the second commercial break. And of course, we have a lot of weird to get to, the World Wide Web of Weird, but I made it a little bit shorter tonight for the World Wide Web of Weird because I want to talk about our good friend Kevin Malik, who passed away. And I want to give some time to that and let people know what I really thought of this man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put my words. It's hard for me to talk about what I really thought, I think, of a great person that Kevin was. I see I'm already starting to get choked up. I'm going to save that to the end of the World Wide Web of Weird. And there's a fundraiser I want to make sure you guys all check out. So let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Rob Gutro, is actually joining us on StreamYard tonight. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Doing very well, thank you. Thanks for having me back, Jason.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you back. I do want to get into the topic tonight of pets on the other side because it fascinates me. I've had an experience with a deceased cat that I love very much that I saw. So I'm a complete believer. I mean, how can you not believe pets pass on the other side? We talked about that a lot, but you got this new book out, Kindred Spirits. I definitely want to get into that tonight. It sounds so fascinating, and it's your life. So it will be interesting. All right, and my beautiful co-host is with me, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Glad to have you on. And then from St. Augustine, Florida, running the World Wide Web of Weird as always, is Rob Autry. How you doing, Rob?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Yep. We got a lot of weird to get to. Like I said, I kept the World Wide Web of Weird shorter tonight because I do want to talk about our friend Kevin, who passed away a couple days ago. But there is a lot of weird still. I had to fit in and I had to choose, and I hope I chose best because let's go ahead and see. We'll roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird. I figured I'd start out with this and kind of dedicating this World Wide Web of Weird to Kevin, because it'd be a lot of topics I'd love to talk to him about. This first one from BBC News, and it's been, I'd say it's pretty viral because a lot of people thought these were UFOs when this first happened. There are satellite constellations. Astronomers warn of the threat to view of the universe. They're putting up all these new satellites, tons, thousands and thousands of satellites right now. All these different companies, they're putting Skynet up. I don't know what you want to call it, but people saw them and think they're UFOs. For people listening on our Paranormal Soup radio network, we are a webcast. You can watch the show on Facebook or YouTube. But if you want to listen, I will narrate as best as possible. All right. So this first one from BBC News, satellite constellations. Astronomers warn of threat to the view of the universe. From next week, a campaign to launch thousands of new satellites will begin in earnest, offering high-speed internet access from space. But the first fleet of these spacecraft, which have already been sent into orbit by the U.S. company SpaceX, are affecting images of the night sky. They are appearing as bright white streaks, so dazzling that they are competing with the stars. Scientists are worried that future mega constellations of satellites could obscure images of optical telescopes and interfere with radio astronomy observations. Dr. Dave Clements, an astrophysicist from Imperial College London, told BBC News, "The night sky is a common, and what we have are the night sky is a commons, and what we have is a tragedy of the commons. A companies involved said they are working with astronomers to minimize the impact of satellites. It's all about high-speed internet access." Does it have to do with 5G? We talk about the show. Instead of being constrained by wires and cables, satellites can beam internet access down to the ground from space. And if lots of them in over it, means even the most remote regions can be connected. To give you an idea of the numbers, there are currently 2,200 active satellites flying around the Earth. But as of next week, Starlink Constellations, a project by U.S. company SpaceX, will start sending 60 satellites into the orbit every few weeks. That will mean about 1,500 satellites have been launched by the end of next year. And by the mid-2020s, there could be a fleet of 12,000. Man, I know space is big, so it comes out to be, that's a lot, but there's a lot of space up there. The problem is, on this article's longer, like I said, you can get from bbc.com, is that it's affecting stargazers, and radio telescopes are having trouble, with these things because they fly into their vision. And what scares me, why I think it's important, it's not, I'm curious about the universe and everything, but I want to know if an asteroid's coming at us. And what if one of these things, we don't see it because there's some satellite blocking the view with this approaching doom? I don't know. I don't. That's my paranoid brain. But that's kind of what the article talks about, too. You can check it out at bbc.com. But, a lot of the UFO stuff, the weird stuff people see in the sky could be the launches of these satellites. I mean, SpaceX is 60 satellites a week. That's going to, that's going to throw some people off. There's definitely going to be some, I saw a UFO with this stuff going on. I know it already happens with SpaceX rockets and stuff. How many times I've cut something from the World Wide Web? Oh, it was a SpaceX satellite. Okay, let's move on. Speaking of that, so we're putting all these satellites up into space. The other thing we got flowing through the sky that's going to confuse people, make them think they're seeing UFOs, and also of concern, there are drones. And this one comes from Unexplained Mysteries. Authorities baffled by a fleet of mysterious drones. A fleet of drones have been making their regular appearances over the last week, and even the U.S. military is mystified. According to reports, as many as 17 unidentified drones have been regularly showing up over Colorado, Phillips, and Yuma counties between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. in the evening. The unmanned aerial vehicles, unnamed, will typically form a grid pattern. However, some of them have also been spotted hovering eerily over houses and empty fields for hours on end. As things stand, nobody has a clue who is operating these drones or what they are doing. Authorities don't seem to know who is behind them either, with the DEA, FAA, U.S. Air Force, and U.S. Army Force Command admitting to being just as clueless as local authorities on the matter. They've been doing a grid search, a grid pattern, says Phillip County Sheriff Thomas Elliott. They fly one square and then they fly another square. They do not seem to be malicious. They don't seem to be doing anything that would indicate criminal activity. Criminal or not, however, the mystery drones have been unnerving for many who live nearby. Are they drones? Are they UFOs? Now, are we confusing UFOs with drones? And, I see the drone thing is going to be getting way out of control, way out of hand. We're going to have, drones delivering packages, drones spying on us, police drones chasing us down. I just don't like the idea of drones.
With flamethrowers and guns.
You're right. They're putting flamethrowers on these things, It's a bit scary.
You go outside and you see 17 drones flying over your house. Once is weird, but
No, putting a gun. There's that one kid who put a gun on him. You see that murder bot video that they made. It might have all been special effects and sci-fi. But it was a warning. These things are going to be killing machines, and terrorists are trying to figure out how to put weapons and bombs on these things.
Yeah,
they're already trying to do it.
Yeah, they probably have done it.
And that's what concerns me. We're getting all, I don't know. Do we ban all drones to say we're done with the drones? No. I mean, it's just like guns. You can't ban it once it's out. Once the genie's out of the bottle, it's done, baby. It's done. Now we just have to be paranoid and worry about it. You worry like me, joining my fear and loathing and paranoia about flying drones. Okay, let's move on.
You there.
I know. I mean, seriously, the people are putting guns, flamethrowers on these things. The military is doing. When these things get into the wrong hands, that's when it's that's it. It's already it's gonna happen. It's the genie's out of the bottle. Some jerk's gonna do it. Some crazy. Just a matter of time. And just this, we got the satellites in the sky. We got the drones here. You're giving away our privacy. I'm doing it. On Facebook every day. Well, yep. So this next article from Daily Wire, Washington Post hacks into Chevy to show how much cars are spying on owners. So here you go, the smart cars, right? Next level. Next level. This is why I wish I can hear Kevin's voice in my head, all the stuff he would say, because maybe we'd have him on the show and be like, I love the sci-fi. I want my smart car to drive me somewhere. I want to get in the back, let the car just take me wherever, and Kevin be like, No, you don't want to give up that. You don't want a smart car. He's the smart one. He was a smart one. Washington Post hacked into a Chevy Volt several days ago with the help of an automotive technology expert to find out just how much automakers are spying on their owners and discovered that vehicles are recording their owners' every move. The Post used a 2017 Chevy Volt for his experiment and learned that the car collected a wide range of highly precise data ranging from vehicle's location to information about the driver's cell phone, including call records, noting that many vehicles copy over personal data the moment smartphone is plugged into the vehicle. The Post noted that Chevy Volt did not inform drivers what the information it was recording. It did not make mention of it in its owner's manual, since there are no federal regulations protecting consumers' privacy and data from automakers. Just wait. The Post went to Jim Mason, who has a PhD in engineering and reconstructs car accidents for a living by hacking into vehicles for help. Hacking into the Chevy Volt. Mason focused on hacking into the car's information system, and it was the easiest computer to get out of several computers in the vehicle to physically get inside the car. After having to take a bit of the car apart and reach the computer, the Post found that the Chevy collected the following information. There on the map was the precise location where I'd driven to take part in the Chevy experiment. There were my other destinations, like the hardware store I stopped at to buy some tape. Among the trove of data points were unique identifiers for me, for my and Doug's phone, I guess this person, and detailed log of phone calls from previous weeks. There's a list of contacts right down to people's addresses and emails and even photos. For a broader view, Mason also extracted data from the Chevrolet's the I don't even know what this word is, infotainment computer that I bought and used on eBay for $375. It contained enough data to reconstruct upstate New York travels and relationships of a total stranger. We knew how or she frequently called someone listed as Sweetie. Oh, there goes my article. Oh, dang it. Just reloaded. But basically, yeah, they were able to call in, look at their text messages and everything from their phone. The car was taking all that. Why does an automaker need any of that information?
Every time I get in my car, my phone, if I haven't been in it a few days, comes up on my radio thing, downloading contacts, downloading everything.
Where are you downloading it to and who are you selling it to?
Exactly.
I mean,
on certain information, like your GPS, sorry about that, GPS location and things for, OnStar safety things, to need to know somebody's contacts and call history and
just wait. It's going to happen is that it's going to come down to a trial, and the cops are going to go, we want the computer information out of their car and get all their phone information. We don't even have to get into unlock their phone to get it. They'll just get in the car and get all the information in.
And then what about cameras? Now we're going to get into cameras when cars have, dash cams, this and that.
Like I said, when they get the
you've done in your car.
When they get the self-driving cars, the criminal's going to be driving along in a self-driving car, and it's just going to roll them right up to the police station.
Lock the doors.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I mean, we're literally giving everything away.
We're giving it all away. We have sold our souls.
Maybe we're just all paranoid. I don't know, but I feel like we should be somewhat concerned about this.
Yeah, I'm paranoid, but I also think there's good reason to be worried about this.
Well, there's one good benefit of all the surveillance state stuff that we're getting. Traffic cams finally found Bigfoot. Well, this comes from Unexplained Mysteries as well. Traffic cam image corroborates Bigfoot sighting. Looks like a big shadow of something there. I don't know. It's of course blurry, and it's a traffic camera, people. Come on. Don't blame the traffic camera. According to Facebook page set up to monitor police and fire scanner reports in Morrow County, authorities recently received a frantic call from a motorist who had been seeing something unusual. He described how he had encountered a creature at the side of the road near Hood River exit. The gargantuan biped, he claimed, was dwarfing the guardrail and was too big to be a bear. Keen to solve the mystery, the dispatch reportedly checked traffic cameras in the area and was able to pull up an image of the very same stretch of road at the time of the sighting. Currently, the image shows a large figure walking around the side of the road. While it's impossible to make out any significant details, the mysterious figure certainly does look big. Could this be evidence there was really a Bigfoot wandering along the side of the highway? Then they have an update. Daylight image of the same traffic camera on the same stretch of road shows that the Bigfoot is still there. Turns out it was actually nothing more than a tree and brush at the side of the road. It looked like a person, and a person saw something on this that they thought was a creature. But they're saying that, I wish they had an update of the daylight photo, because that could be what they were trying to explain it off as.
Yeah.
Somebody saw something and called it in. That's why they went and looked. And he definitely looks like a figure.
Yeah, it does.
Didn't know about the update. Because it does it. I'll get an article ready and then they update it. I'm like, oh, thanks. But still, I find it kind of fishy. I'd like to see the daylight photo comparison. All right, more paranoia for you. The military is paranoid that about their soldiers doing DNA test kits. Tree, you get your family tree. Everybody, I hear, tons of people doing it, not me. Government officials have warned that companies may exploit genetic materials for questionable purposes. Obviously, don't put it past companies if they're spying on you in your smart car. DNA testing kits have been gaining in popularity over the last few years, with record numbers of people seeking to learn more about their ancestry by submitting samples of their DNA for analysis. So far, it's estimated as many 26 million people may have used this kit. Now, our officials at the Pentagon have instructed members of the U.S. military not to use them due to concerns over unscrupulous third parties gaining access to genetic information. These kits have a varying levels of validity, and many are not reviewed by Food and Drug Administration before they are offered, senior officials wrote in a memo issued Friday. Moreover, there is increased concern in the scientific community that outside parties are exploiting the use of genetic materials for questionable purposes. Oh, you think? Including mass surveillance and the ability to track individuals without their authorization or awareness, exposing sensitive genetic information to outside parties, those personal and operational risks to service members. These genetic tests are largely unregulated and could expose personnel and genetic information and potentially create unintended security consequences, increased risks to joint force missions. The warning is likely to prove a blow to both those who have already received a DNA test kit for Christmas and to the companies that produce the sell the kits to the public. I saw one post about a woman who was buying her husband a DNA test kit, and she told his mom first, and she got really white and pale. I was like, oh boy, I need to talk to his father. Don't give that to him yet, that he was adopted. I mean, you might not like what you find out with these DNA test kits. What I think of is the movie Gattaca. Go watch the movie Gattaca and then tell me if you want to take a DNA test kit. Just saying. Just go watch Gattaca. It's an old movie, yes, but not that old to me. It's a good, really good movie. And watch that before you get one of those DNA test kits. Just saying. All right, we're already getting behind here. All right, one last one. Now, this one I kind of tie into Kevin and Jennifer Malik, because the last time they called into the show, this was an open line show on November 10th. What we did, we talked about this, and I just had found it. I had no article for it. I just had found that they were offering this book on Walmart and Amazon, and I had no article on it. Nobody had anything on it about it. I just saw it and I posted up. And Kevin, where Jennifer called in, and Kevin was in the background. That was the last time we got to hear from him. But I want you to listen to how Coast to Coast AM puts this article. And then and you should go back to November 10th, our Open Lines episode, and listen to that phone call of Jennifer and Kevin explaining what their thoughts are on this book, and see the comparison between between them. All right, so this is right, Tim Binall from Coast to Coast AM. A group of exorcists are sounding an alarm over a children's book that teaches youngsters to summon demons. The troubling tome titled A Children's Book of Demons was published back in July, but only captured to the public's attention a few weeks ago when Walmart began selling the book. As one can imagine, this sparked a considerable outcry online from people concerned about exposing the kids to proverbial dark arts, despite the fact that the spells contained in the book are fictional and center around things like avoiding chores or besting bullies. You see what this author is doing here? I mean, sorry, Tim, I'm going to criticize you on this. A furor surrounding the book has now reached all the way to Rome by the way of scathing statements from the organization. Scathing statements, listen to that, from an organization known as International Association of Exorcists. Group President Father Francisco Bamonte wrote on their website that you don't mess around with demons. Whoever invites a child to summon a demon is like a person who puts a grenade in their hands to play with. I think Jennifer said something very similar to that. Sooner or later, the child will pull the pin and the bomb will explode in their hands. Bamonte specifically took issue with how the book presents a number of symbols that the children are encouraged to draw in order to summon different demons. According to the Exorcist, go do some research, Tim. Seriously, these sigils are remarkably similar to ones found in genuine magical manuals known as grimoires. As such, as Bamonte chastised the book's author for simplifying grimoire as much as possible and transforming it into a fun game, the demonic seals act as a telephone number to contact the spirits of evil. Ultimately, the Exorcist laminated that the book represents the latest development in what he sees as a gradual project aimed at making demonic entities more palatable to the public and eventually culminating in an explicit proposal to worship the devil. While Bamonte's laminate may have merit, one can't help imagine that the publishers of the book are probably thrilled at the free publicity his group is giving to the demonic guide. Go listen. So I just read you this piece. I won't say any more on that. How he tries to say, oh, they're just being religious, naysayers, blah, blah, blah. We had Kevin and Jen on. They explain just briefly getting to watch this, and we're showing the pictures of the book, and they tell you those are actual symbols, not the right names, but they actually use real angelic script symbols in this book to summon demons. And they don't make light of it all. That's why I trust Kevin and Jen. I don't know, this guy didn't do his research. If he would have just looked in the book, maybe looked up some of those symbols, you would see that they are definitely trying to get kids to summon something. This isn't just some kid's book. And I think Kevin even pointed out that this book was written by somebody who is a Satanist. He would research it right there. That's why I like Kevin and Jen. And this is hard for me to talk about. They were my, one of the first set of guests I ever had on the show. They're like my 12th episode, 4 years ago that I had them on, and they blew me away, especially Kevin. I mean, Jennifer with her mediumistic abilities and her knowledge of demonology, but Kevin just as a paralosian blew me away. The amount of research that man would do, the amount of just knowledge he kept in his head was amazing to me. He blew me away, and I always look forward to having him on. They were always my backup guests when I had somebody canceled because I knew we could just talk about whatever. They were really, really good people, and Kevin is a true loss to this world. There is a fundraiser I want to make sure I get out. It's by Lori Kreslot. I'm sorry if I butchered that, Lori, but thank you, Lori. Lori started a fundraiser first for his medical costs, but now it's for the funeral cost. It's at $2,269 last time I checked. We need $5,000. Even a small donation. You can find this fundraiser on my page at Midwest Paranormal Soup or on my Facebook profile. I've shared it to the group page. You can find it there. Even a small donation will help. Funerals cost a lot of money. They were paranormal researchers, investigators. They didn't charge people. They didn't make money doing this. They made money like the rest of us did. So they didn't have a lot. And anything you could do to help Jennifer out, my heart goes out to Jennifer. And it's hard for me to even talk because I'm not smart enough, or like Kevin was, to give the best words for this. I'm really going to miss talking to him. I'm really going to miss having him on this show.
Big time.
And because I always knew, I went to him a couple times for advice for big decisions for this show. And why did I go to Kevin? Because I knew he was such a thoughtful person and an honest person. He would tell you the truth, and he would think about what he would say. his words mattered. It mattered what he said or did, and he didn't want to lead anybody wrong. His research was that way. As in person, he was that way, and I could trust his opinion because of that. Because I knew he'd be honest with me, and he would think about what he was going to say. He was very thoughtful on everything. I just, one of the things I always thought about him, he was very thoughtful about everything he did and how he treated people. And this world needs more people like Kevin. And so, again, please go check out Kevin Malick's fundraiser. It's by Lori Kresslaw. You'll see her name on it. It's shared on my Facebook page. Even a $5 donation, anything you can do will help. All right, guys, that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. We have our guest tonight, Rob Gutro. We're going to talk to him after this commercial break, and we will open up the phone lines after the second commercial break. I'll give out those phone numbers then. All right, thank you, guys, and don't forget, help out Kevin and Jen. Any donation, just a little, even $1, I don't care. Anything you can do. I got almost 5,000 friends on my Facebook page. I'm sure only a small percentage of them watch this show. I don't know if they do, but if 5,000 of those people all donated $1, they'd be way over that. So anything you can do is greatly appreciated. All right, guys, we'll be back after a short commercial break.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It's called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Certificate A. Now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
It's the holiday season, and many people can't wait for that special day when they get to open their gift. Just as unbearable can be the wait for the cold comfort of the grave. But friends, you don't have to die to sleep like the dead. This Christmas morning, give the gift of a coffin-quality pillow. Why make your loved ones wait till the afterlife for the comfort of rest eternal when you can give a coffin-quality pillow today?
Coffin Quality Pillows by Serta. Available everywhere tasteless items are sold. Coffin and grave sold separately.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
This fall, a new hard-hitting police drama is coming to Friday night. He was a well-to-do cop transferred to a troubled precinct downtown. His new partner is a space traveler with a passion for justice. It's Yuppie and the Alien.
Look, you might vaporize dissidents in Alpha Centauri, but in this precinct, we do it by the book.
I'm so terribly sorry, Captain.
Googa, I'm sorry. Don't miss this one-of-a-kind police drama. They're fighting crime the hard way in designer clothes with $250,000 sports car and a UFO.
Partner, let's go cruise in the car and look moody.
One tough downtown precinct, two outsiders doing things their way. Yuppie and the Alien on VBC.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Rob Gutro, author, paranormal investigator, medium. Rob considers himself an average guy who just happens to be able to communicate with those who've passed on. He's a medium on IGT, the Inspired Ghost Tracking Team of Hanover, Maryland. He has written books to teach others how to recognize signs from their loved ones, either people or pets. By trade, he's a meteorologist, so he tries to explain ghosts and spirits with science. He's had the ability since he was a teenager and has improved over time. He has his first experience as a teenager when his grandfather appeared to him. Since then, his abilities have developed to the point where he can sketch out ghosts and get names and other information. He also would be wound up living in a house that was haunted. In 2005, Rob's late puppy began the world's best canine communicator and inspired Rob to write his first book. He has written 6 books and is currently working on 3 others. His breaking book, Ghosts and Spirits, provides similarities and differences between the 2 entities. Rob participates in private paranormal investigations, helps ghosts cross over, and has provided countless messages from people or pets as ghosts or spirits. Each week, he receives emails from around the world from grieving pet parents and provides messages of comfort for free of charge. His books include Pets in the Afterlife, Pets in the Afterlife 2, Lessons Learned from Talking to the Dead, Ghosts and Spirits, Ghost of England on a Medium's Vacation, and Kindred Spirits, When a Medium Befriends a Spirit. Rob's books have reached the bestseller status on Amazon.com. His various paranormal categories all are available for ebook as well. Now, I saw we lost Rob, so hopefully we're going to figure out how to get Rob back on. So let's go ahead and get to the show. All right. Well, I broke one of my golden rules. I didn't get a backup phone number because it seemed like his connection was fine, and we lost him. I came back, I rolled to the commercial break, and we lost him somehow. I don't know how. Let me check my email or email him my phone number. See, because we totally lost him. Maybe his internet's out.
and then he was gone.
There was a weird noise.
Yeah, it was like doo-doo-doo-doo.
Weird. Oh, we lost you.
How was that again?
I'm gonna send him my phone number.
I'm still thinking about 17 drones flying over somebody's house.
Right? Oh, there he is. We got him back. Thank
A little
God.
power outage.
And
I
you got
fixed
another
the
camera working. Yeah, I see that. it looks way better. I can see why you wanted the other camera. Yeah, a lot better. Well, thank you. I don't know. I gave an intro of you, and we had you on the show before. But I want you to kind of tell people a little bit more about yourself. And really, I mean, you said you got you've experienced this stuff since you were a teenager, but really got you into you're a meteorologist for one. A scientist. And I love the idea of somebody who's in a field of science like that, who's able to accept the reality of the other side. How did that happen for you?
Well, really, I think science is just it's catching up to the paranormal. So eventually, we can explain all the paranormal by energy, and once we get there, it's really going to be normal. It's not going to be paranormal anymore. So being a meteorologist, all of my books are based on the science of energy, because the law of conservation of energy, I believe, applies to entities in the afterlife. What happens to us after we pass? Our memories, our personalities, and our knowledge all combine with those energies, those physical energies that are within us. And then we make a choice. We make a choice to stay here, earthbound, at a place of our choosing, a fixed location, and that's what I call a ghost. Or we cross over and join the energies that flow through the universe, and that's what I call a spirit. So there's a difference between a ghost and a spirit. Ghosts are earthbound in a fixed location, and spirits have crossed over on the other side, and they can appear anywhere, anytime, any place. But the bottom line is, Jason, and they use physical energies and emotional energies.
I lost you for a second. Your audio cut for just 1 second, but okay, it scared me for a second. But well, you said, I think I said in your bio, you saw your grandfather.
I did. I saw him when I was 13 years old. I saw him about 7 months after he died. Realized much later in life it was the month of his birthday, and spirits come around on birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays.
Well, I always say on the show that the number one paranormal thing, I mean, being a paranormal investigator, doing this show, I have tons of people who tell me, whoops, almost disconnect, getting my buttons messed up here. I have tons of people that tell me, I had this happen. And 90% of the time, it's a loved one who's passed, who came to them in some way. I mean, I've had people, I lived in this haunted house, but I get a lot of like, this is my grandmother or my grandfather passed away, or, and I've had that experience. All the other weird paranormal experience I had, I had that experience, my grandmother coming through to me in a mirror on the day of her wake. At my work, actually went through the store. 2 other people felt her presence go through the store. One was total skeptic. At the same time I saw her, it's a powerful experience of spirit. Spirit seems, you talk about ghost and spirit. Spirit seems to be able to do some incredible things when they show themselves to people or do things.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that they seem to defy all the laws of physics too. Is that because they can appear in multiple places at the same time, and I have no explanation for that.
Well, right. I mean, I've seen, airports, them giving objects to family members, money appearing out of anywhere. When a spirit makes contact, it can be really powerful stuff, but it's brief. It's for a moment or a message. While a ghost, you said, they're stuck to a certain location. It's like Beetlejuice, they're stuck in the house. Exactly. There's sandworms out there going to get them, or I don't know. But what makes a ghost have to stay? A choice or a sentence?
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of a self-imposed sentence on a ghost. And I've learned as a paranormal investigator, I'm an investigator with the Inspired Ghost Tracking Group in Maryland. And I've learned from talking to them that they stay for a number of reasons. Like some of them are good reasons. I mean, some of them stay because they think they can help their loved ones cope with their passing, but they can't. They can really do that as a spirit. Others stay because they love the house they grew up in. And what's interesting is that I have found over time, stayed because they fear what's on the other side.
Yeah, things sometimes I've seen, I've told people, because one thing is you mentioned in your bio is that you cross over ghosts. Mm-hmm. And I've seen activity kind of get negative sometimes when people are start talking about crossing over a spirit. Like the spirit starts doing stuff like, no, I am not going over. Have you experienced that?
Yeah. As I mentioned, ghosts and spirits maintain their own personality. So, if they're stubborn in life, they're going to be stubborn in death. And if they've decided they want to stay, then we're not going to do anything to change their mind.
Right. I mean, especially if they're fearing that if I cross over, I'm going to go to hell.
So the reason they're afraid of crossover is, and I find that what's interesting is that most of them that are afraid are the ones that are more religiously.
We're losing your audio. You're clear, but you cut out at times. Uh-oh. It'll go like blank or silent for like 2 seconds, and then you'll come in.
Well, my husband would say that's a good thing. It's like, I've heard enough of you.
But I hate that, darn it. I hope it doesn't do that again. Send that a couple times. But I always find it fascinating, the difference between ghost and spirit. You said one of your books is you took a vacation to England, and yes. So you dealt with ghosts there, and some of those ghosts, England. I always am jealous of my friends over across the pond because we get haunted locations. They're 300-400 years old at very max. At very very max. That's probably the oldest you get in America. Unless you're going Native American. But in England, you got things that are 1,000 years old or more, and ghosts that could be there for 1,000. A building that's been there for 1,000 years, and a ghost is haunting it for 1,000 years. Did you experience that when you went over there?
Oh gosh, yeah, I did. There's so many of them, and they were from all different centuries. So, and they stayed behind for a number of reasons. I mean, some of them were murdered in the place that they haunt. Others choose to stay in a house that they inhabited when they were alive, like Anne Boleyn's brother George, who still resides in Hever Castle. I mean, he was one of the people that were executed under Henry VIII, because Henry VIII said that
he executed a lot of people.
Yeah, he did. He was on a roll. So he accused George Boleyn of having sex with his sister Anne, who was married to Henry VIII at the time, and that didn't happen. But right. He wanted to execute George, and he wanted to execute Anne, and when you're king, and there's nobody. But so George actually wound up being a ghostly escort through Hever Castle in England for me. It was fascinating because he took us from room to room, and he pointed out different things that happened during the time he lived there, and he also gave me clues about how he felt during his life. I remember he gave me one particular year, and he said, in this year, and I think it was 1532 or something. He said, I was most proud of my sister, and I had no idea. So I got home and I found out that was the year that his sister got her first royal title. Fascinating.
So it's like he gave you a tour. Now, do you see them with your eyes, or is it kind of in the mind's eye?
Both, actually.
Both.
Usually it's in the mind's eye, and I've actually been able to sketch them out when I'm on investigations. And in my books, there are a number of sketches that I've made of the ghosts that I've seen. That was not my sketch.
No, but it's a cool cover.
Yes, so I came up with the idea for that because Ed, my husband's of 14 years, has been with us since I met Tom, my partner. So Ed has been.
Oh, you're cutting
Cool
out,
to
darn
have.
it. Oh, shoot. I don't know what could be doing it.
I am not sure.
We weren't getting that before, darn it.
I almost heard like the Wi-Fi kind of drop sound for a second.
Huh. I don't think it's a signal. We weren't getting that before. Oop, heard myself. All right. Test.
Maybe I have a screw loose over here. I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't do it because I meant you were talking about Ed, and that's when it cut out. Yeah, okay. So it was Tom. He was with Tom for 14 years.
No, he was with Tom for I think about 9 years. But 9 years. So Tom and I have been together for 14 years, and Ed has been there the entire time. So.
How did he make your? This is we're going to get into this book already, but I don't want to give too much away. But how does that happen? I mean, you meet Tom, you start dating, and he just comes to you. I mean, like, how did that work out?
Well, the first time was really surprising. We were actually driving back from visiting Tom's grandmother. This was like a year into our relationship, first year. And I looked in the mirror, and and there was Ed in my rearview mirror.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty startling because I don't usually see, as we just talked about, I don't usually see ghosts or spirits in the physical, but I did see Ed. So I pulled over as fast as I could. And I told Tom, I said, I think your late partner is in the truck with us for some reason. And I had only seen one picture of Ed. So, sometimes when you're in a relationship, your partner, if you will, never talks about people they dated or had relationships with in the past. Tom never told me one thing about Ed. I learned a lot about Ed from Ed. Yeah,
that sounds like a guy though in a relationship, basically. But at the same time too, it's hard to talk about somebody you've lost.
Sure, and that's really devastating. And Ed passed around Christmas in 1996. So Ed likes to make himself known at various times. So spirits usually tell us that they're around birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. And Christmas time, and Ed just showed up the week before Christmas. It was like 3 days. I think he passed on the 20th of December. And sure enough, he made an appearance on the 20th this year.
Oh, this year he's so this is ongoing still. I mean, Ed's still. I remember talking about it with you a little bit. I think when we had you on last on, it was about GPS, him leading you astray, or I can't remember. It was something where he was like, I don't remember, like you guys got lost somehow because of him.
We did get lost. We get lost in England, in a rural area of England, because the GPS went haywire and it took us into this wooded area. And, when you're in another country, you're at the mercy of a GPS unit, right?
Well, yeah, I'm at the mercy of a GPS unit wherever I'm at. I get lost easily.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a paper map, and that's the problem with with rental cars now, is that often they don't give you paper maps anymore.
You got the GPS, right?
Yeah. I always, since that incident, I always ask for a paper map.
Right.
That's a lesson for everybody, by the way.
I was driving by myself once in New Hampshire, and I was like, I'm not using no GPS. I got a paper map. Trying to do it by yourself, the paper map, though, it sucks. I was like, the GPS saved me there. And ever since then, I'm like, oh, I love you, GPS. Don't screw me over. So Ed was able to intervene and get you guys from being lost, or did he get you lost?
back. And it made me realize that spirits, they can manipulate energy and electricity and so forth because they are energy. So I thought, wait a minute, this was probably an elaborate setup from Ed from the beginning, so that we could meet someone that looked exactly like he would have looked had he lived to be in his 50s.
Oh, wow.
And that's what the guy looked like that found us and helped us out of there. And then I also realized too afterward that what he did is he answered a request that I've had for years, and that is to actually meet him in person.
That's the best you could do, is find a lookalike, basically,
Exactly.
in England.
So spirits will actually do that. So spirits will send us to the area of where a doppelganger, if you will, or lookalike is, so that we will know that they are around. That's probably the easiest way that they can come to us, other than dreams and so forth. So if you see someone that looks like someone that passed, know that person who passed is right there with you and led you to that place at that time.
It's a crazy, I believe in that, totally believe in that. And it's crazy the synchronicities they were able to manipulate. I don't know how they set things up, like meeting that guy that looked like an older version of Ed. How did he know about him? How did he set that up? But these things happen. I hear these stories countlessly, these kind of weird synchronicities that are believed people, the spirits set it up.
Yeah, there's really no such thing as a coincidence when it comes to favorite line when explaining how it all works. The spirits have a way of setting everything up.
Yeah, it's crazy that they can make synchronicities like that happen, or even influence animals too. You communicate with animal spirits and that. But I've had countless stories of how spirits can manipulate animals. I even had my own experience with that, with a bird fighting a praying mantis at the right time to entertain my 8-year-old son when he was having a sensory problem and a breakdown. And a cardinal had this fight with this praying mantis on these train tracks. It was like save the day. It distracted him from all the loud noises and everything. And the cardinal was my wife's grandmother's, that was their thing. Between them was that the cardinal. It was like perfect time. I'm like, thank you, Mimi. Have you seen that? Spirits are able to manipulate animals like that, because I believe that's what happened there.
Sure, absolutely. And it's not only human spirits that can manipulate animals, it's also other animals who can manipulate animals.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So like dogs and cats who have passed that are your family members, they can influence birds and butterflies and dragonflies and squirrels and anything to act bizarre or act oddly to get your attention at a given time that you would tie in with them, like birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays, or even like the anniversaries of their passing, just so you know that something odd is going on and that a spirit.
That's what you cut out. The audio thing. But I even think, as you think, I'm sure you think this, because I've experienced this. I know this for sure. Like my parents, our first cat, Patches, when she passed away, it was 6 months later, 6 Bulls championship. It was like all these sixes lined up, and this cat shows up that looks like a long-haired version of our cat. Had the same coloring, but it was a different kind of fur. But it was like almost thought it was her at our door. It was during this. Remember, it was the 6 Bulls championship was on the TV. This cat shows up at our door, and made us all jump because it looked just like Patches, except when we got closer, we realized she's a long hair. But it was the same coloring and Patches and everything. My thought is that Patches knew how sad we were, that she sent that cat to us, which became Six. We called her Six because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Patches would have influenced the cat to come to walk your way, so knowing that you would see the cat and make the connection. So yeah,
that's what I always thought about that. It's like I swear, because Patches was you talk about I've always believed spirit, animals you look in an animal's eyes, you know there's something there. I know we're going to get on the animal talk, but I want to get back to kindred spirits, but I can't help talk about this with you because I don't have many. I mean, I'm mediums that say they communicate with animal spirits, but not like, I swear, not like you do. And what I find interesting is with the animals, you look in their eyes, people are like, well, they don't have souls. Look in their damn eyes. They got a soul. They have a soul. Now, I always joke about cats. Because they do look, when you do look at a cat, it's like, if I was big enough, yeah, I'd eat you. That's how I feel about cats. But I love my cats. But they do have that kind of like, yeah, if I was big enough, I'd eat you look on their face. But they have a soul. They have a personality. There's something there. My cat Patches, after she passed, she used to sleep in my bed with me. I heard her purr. It started out with hearing her purr on my bed, and then seeing her come up to me. I could see her just in the dark, just tint of the little bit of moonlight coming in through my window. I could actually see her and hear her purr in my bed. I was wide awake, not dreaming. And she was there. I had tears coming down my face, and then she just disappeared. It was like her way to let me know she was still there. And that was before Six showed up too. It was not long before Six showed up. So that's why I've always wondered, did Patches have a way of doing that? It sounds silly to people, but I swear there's so much more to a pet, what's going on in that little head of theirs, than anybody could imagine.
Sure. So, you brought up the one topic that makes me absolutely crazy is when people say animals don't have souls, and that's just absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Because as I think we've talked about this before anyway. But so I always tell people, Soul 101. Here's what a soul is. It's memories, personality, and knowledge. And every animal, every living thing has memories, personality, and knowledge. In my Pets in the Afterlife books, like this one behind me there, I analyzed the science part of it too, the science of behavior. So Dr. Stanley Coren had come to the conclusion that dogs, he's a 5-year-old child. I mean, they know names. They know their names. They know names of specific things. They know schedule. You break their routine.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. There are. In the book, I explain all the different levels of learning that animals have, and they really are as intelligent as a 3 to 5-year-old child, and even more so, I think, because they are intuitive. They can read our emotions much more than a human child can read our emotions.
Well, because that's their language. I mean, they don't speak. Their language is emotions. I have to get into this. I can't help it. But when you get a communication with a pet, most people are like, yeah, well, what's the do? The pet talking to you? I mean, that's what people think. I mean, they hear us talk. They're
Sure.
On the other side. I mean, is that what happens? You do does a voice come to you and says, I'm Sparky? How does it work? How does that communication work?
Yeah, it does. Because they know their name, and they hear every word that we say, and they memorize the words that we say.
Oh, totally.
So I'll throw something out to you that happened just recently. Spirits too. Spirits will give any kind of interesting or unique symbol or word or whatever to make sure that we associate it with them to let us know they're around. In one particular case last year, I think it was last summer, there was a dog, there was a black lab that passed away, and that black lab gave me a whole number of different things for his dad, who wrote me an email and said, I'm devastated. I need some kind of confirmation that my dog is okay, and can you just give me anything? So one of the things that the dog stressed to me was the number 512. No idea what this means. Do you? A time? I don't know. And he wrote me back and he said, I have no idea what it is. Well, 8 months later, he wrote me back and he said, you may not remember me. I'm the guy with the lab and so forth. And he said, I figured out what 512 means. And I did remember that. I don't often remember the readings that I give, but I did remember that.
Yeah.
So he said, so here's what happened. He said, I'm a doctor. And he said, I was in my office and I was treating a patient who had a collapsed lung. And the medical code for the collapsed lung is 512. And he said, I suddenly remembered your reading, and my dog passed away from a collapsed lung.
Wow. So now a dog knows medical journal knowledge.
His dad is a doctor.
True. I mean, but you think, I always wondered when I had you on before, I kind of wondered this too. Do you think like spirit guides are helping with that communication with the pet?
Mm-hmm.
Like another entity is helping with that?
Sure,
absolutely. That would wonder. Because I hear mediums talk about, my spirit team or my spirit guides, that help me, help facilitate the communication, or they kind of like, I don't know. I picture them as like bodyguards, or as like, the staff at a TV show, like, okay, you're going to be up next to talk to them, like they are maneuvering and controlling things. Well, they could be like, okay, the dog says, this, like translate. I don't know. You just wonder, I mean, how much what a spirit of a dog knows. I mean, the 512 is collapsed lung. I mean, that's crazy. And it's not like you would know.
It is. No. And what's funny is that he's a physician, and he certainly wasn't thinking medical coding when he got that message from his dog.
Of course not.
So.
But it came to him, and it's like the spirit knew. Oh, you'll get it. You'll get it. That's incredible. I mean, I have to. We always wonder about mediums too. We were talking about. I've had a couple mediums on the last couple shows, and we brought up. The TV shows that you see out there, mediums walking up to people like, oh, hello, honey, I'm a medium, and blah, 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 blah. And, this person's coming through without, it's like, okay, I don't think mediums are walking up to people and telling them about a spirit that's communicating. They have to have a shut off, I mean, and that's TV, it's the way TV is, the way they do the show. But for you, I mean, do you shut it off when you're out walking around, or are you walking around and suddenly somebody's pet comes through or somebody's loved one comes through to you? Does that happen in your daily routine of life?
Yeah, not usually. And the reason is because I become distracted with life itself. So when I become distracted, I'm able to tune things out. It's like being in a crowd and you can kind of tune the noise out. It's the same kind of thing. Well,
for people, we do once in a while we do we just started doing a show called Psychic Game Night. And basically I do it so the audience has a chance to develop their own medium or psychic abilities, so I'll let them call into the show and give us a reading, or give another caller a reading, and then we do the psychic test stuff too. We do the Zener cards and we do all that. For you to develop this ability, I mean, I think everybody has some ability to do this, to communicate with spirits on the other side. What are some tips to get that mind to that spot, to be able to to know you're getting that kind of communication?
Well, first of all, let me address the fact that everybody does have the ability, and let me give you this example. When you walk into a talk to, you always feel like you just want to go over and say hello to somebody. Conversely, they may tend to avoid, and what's happening there is that you're reading their energy, and that's what mediums do with people and pets who pass. We read the energy of people and pets who pass. But so everybody has this ability. You just have to trust it. And one of the ways that you can trust, you're suddenly thinking about something that you never would have thought about before.
Yeah.
Whether it be a song or a location, and suddenly you just can't get it out of your head. It's somebody trying to tell you something.
See, I've always wondered about, the stuff that comes through my brain. I have a monkey mind, that chatters away a lot too much. And, you gotta get to that quiet place. But I've had that experience, I've talked about on this show countless times, but where I walked in this house, I knew there was a spirit there without anybody telling me anything. I knew he was an alcoholic because I wanted to drink. I am not a drinker. I am not a big drinker at all. And I just wanted to drink, and I just had this heavy urge to drink. And it's like, that's unusual. That's where it started, where I felt a presence Like, then I'm holding a photo of this guy in his coffin. It was a photo. I had no name on it, and this little inner voice just came through. And next thing you know, I say his name's Bob, or his name's William, but he goes by Bob or Bill. Sorry. And the owner's like, that is the name. And then I started to hear the voice in my head, that little inner voice. I'm like, what is coming through? And I actually knew his last name. I don't want to say it on here, but I actually knew his last name. That's the one time I've had that. No, not again, but I might have. I have thoughts that come through my brain. So it's like I'm trying to learn how to develop it. I'm trying to learn how to get to that quiet space so I can know it's not my imagination, that I am getting that communication. So you're saying the best way is to just recognize your thoughts, right? To realize that that's not something I would think. Why am I thinking about that kind of deal?
Yes, and to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, trust your feelings, Luke.
Yeah, thank you for the Star Wars quote.
Yeah.
Well, I reference Star Wars on here. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. I reference Star Wars a lot on here because I don't have a religion. I tell people my religion is Jediism because I believe in a force, and I make a lot of Star Wars references. But that is, you got to trust your feelings. And you talked about the room thing. You walk in a room. I say the best example is that when you walk in a room where people have just been fighting, you have no way of knowing it. But you walk in there, but you feel the tension in the dang air. It's like you could cut it. People give off energy. I've had people that made me sick to my stomach, and I should have no reason. But I can't even be near them.
Yeah, absolutely. So has Jamie and Rob experienced that too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what's interesting too is that you can you mentioned walking into a. So that's really feeling residual energy, and that I'll just use that as kind of a segue to talk about the difference between intelligent haunts and residual haunts, because intelligent haunts are an actual ghost that's in a place,
right?
But residual haunts are it's energy that is impressed upon a structure that is usually caused by emotion, and you're able to pick that up. So you really are a medium, and you have the ability. And people that walk into these different places where something either tragic or happy has happened, it really sets your own mood too, because you're absorbing that. I've been into we were talking about England before. There were some places in England where horrible things.
Right. It's got a really bloody history.
Yeah.
It goes way back.
And it's oppressive. I mean, so dark energy can feel like kind of like a blanket over you. And it can really change your mood when you walk into these places. And people who are not these.
Now he's really. Oops. Sorry, you were cutting out there, so I missed what you said.
So, yeah. So people who think they don't have these abilities should really think about that when they walk into a place and they suddenly feel, I don't know, oppressed or down, and they can't understand what's happening. They're reading the energy.
Yeah, go ahead, James. Sorry.
I have a good example of that. I was on an investigation where we went to a train car where there was a really bad train accident. And there's this one train car sitting there. And for some reason, I like to go and put my hands on things and feel the energy of the things. But all of a sudden, I just got this emotion over me where I just started just crying and crying out of just nowhere. And it was almost like the energy there, the spirits are wanting me to feel what they felt like when they were trapped in the car. Like I was having all these visions while it was happening. Like they wanted me to feel what they experienced. And it was one of the strongest emotional experiences I've had on an investigation before.
My thing is where I know like tragedy, I hone in on it somehow. I don't know. I mean, I remember one this girl I was dating for a couple weeks. I had no clue about what had happened in her home, but I went into her bathroom, and I'm like, whoa. Like, it's just the best way I can describe it is if somebody has ever had changed altitudes. Like, you got off a plane and you're now in a lower or higher altitude, or whatever that altitude change. It's like this weird pressure. And I knew there was a spirit in this bathroom, or something was there. Something was real bad. And I said, I don't know how to tell you this, but something's really off about your bathroom. She goes, oh, God. She's like, the previous owner's son killed himself in there. She goes in and shows me. She goes, look at the speckle. You know, you have the wall bumps. She's like, they couldn't ever get all the blood out. You could still see the teeny little red specks in there. And it sent shivers down my spine. But I've recognized that feeling. I even went to a house where they were having really crazy paranormal activity once. And I went right to, they didn't tell me anything about the crime that had happened there, except for somebody was murdered. I went right to where this woman had been murdered. I was like drawn to it. I said, that's right where she was. I was like, she was beaten to death. And they're like, yep. I could feel it. I don't know. It's this overwhelming pressure on me. It's just, if it's something bad or tragic, it's just like I don't know. It's like some kind of like this, like pressure, like we're in a plane with the pressure changes in a plane. That's how I know.
Or like scuba diving when you're like coming out.
I've never scuba dived, but it's like a pressure feeling. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's weird feeling.
Yeah.
So that's go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, the last investigation I was at, there was a person. I didn't even know that there was a person that had passed away in one of the rooms there, and I was just going from room to room, and I kept going back to this one, and somebody asked me, you know, what's up? And I'm like, I got a weird feeling in this room. I said, did somebody, you know, pass away in here? And they were like, no, it was the other room. And I'm like, okay, you know. A little while later, like the historian of the place came in, and they brought it up, and they're like, no, he's right. That's the room that they passed away in. It was just weird. I could just feel it.
So that's the residual that's left over, not an intelligence. So like when I went in the bathroom, I wasn't feeling the spirit of that guy that died there. Hopefully he moved on. It's just the residual of what was left from what he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you know, it makes you wonder. I mean, you know, all the tragedies happen in on this planet over thousands of years, how that energy still sticks around. Because you say you're feeling it in England at a 1,000-year-old location, you know.
Yeah. So I have a theory about that too, and again, it all pertains to energy. So when a structure is torn down, there are two options for the earthbound ghost: go to a nearby structure.
Oh.
And two is that eventually the earthbound ghost will find to cross over, because there are people dying all the time, and once the structure is gone, that ghost is no longer affixed to that particular place.
So it like releases them when if it was
releases
destroyed.
them to go somewhere else, right?
Well, tell that to Zach Baggins, who tore down the demon house. Right. I mean, well, I always wondered that. I one of the things I've talked about on the show is like, I've known so many haunted locations that have just gone by fire. You know, so many that have just burnt down, mysterious fires, or sometimes the town's had enough of them. Like Kevin Malick and Jennifer Malick have talked about Summerwind. They believe the town probably burnt that place down because they got tired of all the kids hanging out there. But so many of them go burn down and go on fire. So if a spirit's trapped there, they just move on to another location, or maybe cross over.
Right. Or they cross over. Yeah. So one of the instances I can give you is that I wrote about this in my book, Ghosts of England. We stayed in Thornbury.
Oh, you're cut out.
So let me try again. So we stayed in Thornbury Castle, and is now a luxury bed and breakfast. And in our room, there was a ghost, a male ghost. and he gave me his name, Rupert. And over, he gave me a bunch of other things too. And I still didn't know who he was by the time we left. But I figured it out when we got home. He turned out that he was a prince, and he was, which was the site of the greatest defeat. He was involved in a battle that was nearby, near the castle. And he wound up haunting the castle because it was close by.
But he needed a structure. It's like they do need some kind of shelter.
Sure, they need a structure. And because, there's so much energy in the weather that can wear them down. Think of a spirit or a ghost. Well, think of an earthbound ghost as like a light bulb that doesn't have a charge to it, or it has a very, very dim charge to it. So they need energy to get strong enough to manifest or to do something. And the energies in the weather can, just reduce them to almost nothing until they get to a more concentrated source.
Well, I think, a lot. I mean, of course, I've had plenty of investigations where the activities during the day, but so many people talk about activity picking up at night. I've always wondered how sunlight, the Earth being bombarded by the sun, radiation, all that might electromagnetics might affect a spirit, and that's why they have to seek shelter in a house, and they come out, seem to be more up at night, at least the lore of it. Like I said, I've had plenty of investigations where stuff happens during the day, but it seems, in general, most people say it happens at night. Do you think the sun could affect, besides weather, the sun itself affects spirits?
Sure, I do. It's kind of like being on camera and having a whiteout effect. Is that there's so much energy that the spirit kind of gets whited out.
That's what I always wondered. That's what I've always kind of pictured in my head about it. Is that that the sun radiation or whatever it affects them. That's why they have to have some kind of shelter. Because why just hang out in a house? I mean, if your spirit, you do get cold, you can just hang out outside. Go hang out at the Rocky Mountains. But it does seem like they have to have. It's either that or they're sandworms. I don't know, but they have to have some kind of location. One of the things I've wondered. You can get into fiction. One of my favorite shows, my son's named Dean, is Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, the concepts they put in that show, I've always found really interesting is, they always have to bust the ghosts. They have to salt and burn their bones to send the ghosts away. They came with the concept eventually why these ghosts are trying to murder everybody in the show, because the ghosts are always trying to murder everybody. Luckily, that doesn't happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But the concept kind of made me wonder why ghosts do get negative. Is that after so long of being a ghost, they start to lose their mind a little. And then they can turn bad. They could start out as a good ghost, but after 100 years, now it's a loopy ghost that is doing bad things.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Because they're, they realize that they're kind of in a prison cell. They're in an isolation cell, if you will, and they can't communicate with the loved ones in spirit. The only ones they can communicate with are someone living that's sensitive enough to know that they're there. So. Yeah,
you talked about energies too. The other thing, I don't know how you feel about this, but the hungry ghosts kind of thing. One of the things I think that keep ghosts here, keep spirits here, is addictions, habits, things like that. Things they love, they can't get on the other side, like alcohol. I've gotten bad mojo feelings from bars. Like I felt like there's spirits hanging out at bars, just to hang out around people that are drinking. And I feel, I've seen it with people close to me that. When them drinking at a bar and then they're like a different person, completely different person, like something, and then of course there's the blackouts, they don't remember what happened, everybody's like, that's alcohol. But I've always felt like there's another part of it sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that spirits are, I'm gonna hop in this person and get a little bit boozed up and enjoy it. Do you think that's possible?
There may be an influence there. I'm not that big on possession, but
well, it's not even possession, because I've had investigator. I call it a walk-in, because I had an investigator on investigation that happened that too. It scared the heck out of me. Okay. She didn't remember. She wasn't drinking, but she was not herself, and she had lapsed memory from it, and it scared the heck out of me.
So she was channeling.
Yeah, exactly, but not knowing it. And she always tell everybody, I'm not psychic. I'm not a medium. You know, I don't have a psychic bone in my body. We're like, yeah, no, yeah, you do. You know, because of that, you know, she would never have been trying to be a psychic. She's never tried any of that. She's more interested, like me, getting evidence. And, you know, she likes the equipment. You know, she's never tried to be a psychic. And it happened right in front of me. It scared the heck out of me. Because she was like mean to me. And then two, she paused for a good minute, not move, and just like froze. And she didn't remember the rest of that night and the ride home. So I think some spirits have some power to hop into people and do some stuff sometimes. I don't know. It's things like that have made me wonder.
Yeah, they can definitely use, help use us for channeling. I know that when I go on paranormal investigations, I channel sometimes. We always investigate in pairs, which I think is a good thing.
Buddy system. Yep.
Yeah. And one of the investigators that comes with me always asks questions, and I wind up answering for the ghost. And she takes notes because I don't remember what I say half the time.
Really?
Yeah.
See, like the incident I had where I was holding the photo, you call that psychometry or whatever, because I was touching the photo. I didn't feel like I was possessed, except for the one moment, though. I will say this. I was a little freaked out at first because I had no control, and it just came out of my mouth when I said his name's William, but he goes by Bill. And it just popped out of my mouth. I'm like, why the heck did I just say that?
Probably because you actually heard him and you said it at the same time.
It like literally my mouth opened, words came out, and I had no control of it. That's the only, and it scared the heck out of me. And then when I got the last name, it was I could hear it in my head then. But the first time when it came out of my mouth, I heard it in my head, but I'm like, I'm speaking it. Why am I speaking? You know? So that was my one instance of maybe channeling that, maybe a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is. It is a little uncomfortable because you don't have control.
Yeah, make you say something. I mean, has that happened to you where, spirit makes something come out of your mouth like, oh, hello. Why did I say that?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. But I know I'm always present, but sometimes, I can hear them telling me to say something. So I'll say what they want me to tell them.
It's a weird feeling. It was a weird feeling. I only really have had that once, really like that. But it was a really weird feeling. Maybe that's why I have it again, because the spirits know, like, oh yeah, that freaked him out. Let's not do that again. Because I was a bit freaked out by it.
Well, I will tell you though that like relatives, like our loved ones in spirit, will always try to come through to us at least once. And if they come through and we're afraid of them, they will not come back, because
that has always made sense to me. So when I saw when I saw my grandmother, that's the one relative I physically saw with my eyes in the mirror. I was not scared. She had Alzheimer's. So it was what I needed. I needed at that time to know she was all right on the other side. So then that's what I think. I love the stories of people. I mean, I love good ghost stories. I love good haunted house stories, but I honestly really cherish when people tell me their stories of a loved one that's come through, because there's just something so magical and special about that moment of them reaching out from the other side just to let us know, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Because I don't know about you. I think one reason there's ghosts for sometimes is because of the grieving. The ghost can't move on because the grief for the person is just too much, and they are weighed down by it, and it takes the ghost down, or takes the spirit down. They can't leave until they can help, get this person over it, and that's why they do come through sometimes.
Yeah, grief is a tremendous thing. And by the way, grief actually blocks out signs from loved ones.
Right.
So,
because you hear that people are like, why don't they come through to me? Why don't they talk to me? I'm sure as a medium, you get that. Why don't they talk to me? So the grief itself is blocking that communication.
It does, and that's the time that we want to hear the most from somebody on the other side, right after they pass. But that grief doesn't allow it. But spirit will find different ways to get through to us. So I've talked to quite a number of people who have said that that a spirit will come through to someone they know. And that person will come to the person the message is intended for, right, and say, oh, by the way, for some reason I dreamed of your grandmother last night, and I've only met her a couple of times. And that's because your grandmother can't get through to you, but got through to your friend and wants you to know that she's okay.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense because you hear people with grief. It's like talking to mediums. I've had them call into the show. Like, well, why didn't they come through to me? It's because that pain's just too much.
So actually, somebody wrote me about 2 months ago, and they had lost their cat. It was a woman who had lost her cat, and she said that she had been so devastated by the loss of her cat, she wanted some kind of a message. And she said, "What's interesting is that." Well, she didn't say interesting. She said aggravating is that my husband has dreamed of my cat several times, but I'm mad that I'm not able to dream of my cat. So I wrote it back and I said, look, your grief is blocking your cat from coming through into your dreams. So your cat is going to your husband. And she said, well, I'm also mad at my husband because my cat's only talking to him. I said, well, I'm not a counselor, so that's something.
But like you said, she's got it's that part you have to kind of let go, a little bit of that person to let them go, move on. I honestly think, and it's harder said than done. Grief, when you lose somebody, is a powerful thing that can just disable you completely. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get that. I get how that would not be good for communication with the other side. And you talk about dreams. I think dreams are, I tell people all the time, if you're trying to reach a loved one, try to ask them to come through in a dream, because that's where some of my best experiences I've had. We can talk about that more. We got to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to open up the phone lines after the commercial break. You can call in, ask Rob a question. Like I said, we're not really doing readings tonight, but you never know. Something with a medium might come through, maybe. I don't know. But you got a question about your pet that's passed on too. I think that'd be fine, right, Rob?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, we'll open up the phone lines when we get back. I'll give out those phone numbers when we get back from the commercial break. All right, guys, we'll be right back just after the short commercial break.
The occult world of necromancy. You were brought here for one purpose: necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please,
and death to the living. Necromancy, starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing, in color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
New from Mostly Healthy Foods. Orange Flare Orange Juice. Every glass has a ray of sunshine.
Wow! It has a ray of sunshine in every glass? Father, can I have some?
Sure, son.
My God! My face is melting!
Every glass has a ray of sunshine. And yes, it's also a tasty beverage and a high-energy plasma. Sweet Mother of God, close the damn curtain. Oh, how am I still alive inventing this horrible product?
My body is riddled with tumors and the energy to play.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday at the live stream with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Left on the house at 8%. So they're okay. So, does anybody want to play Parcheesi? Okay, who brought the dog?
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Rob Gutro. He's the author of Kindred Spirits, When a Medium Befriends a Spirit, as well as many other books. He's also a prolific blog, has his own blog you should definitely check out, and we'll make sure we get all that information out. Of course, his email, too. He does readings by email, so if you do want a reading, that would be a good way to do it. But we do have the phone lines open tonight for you to ask a question. You can call in. There's a couple ways to do that. You can call in at 219-230-4444 or call in at 260-225-9419. There's also the Skype IDs. You can call in at Skype ID 00JBland00 or Skype ID JBland Paranormal Soup. When you call in, you'll hear us talking. Just wait till we call on you, and then go ahead and ask your question. And if I end up hanging up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. So just try again after that phone call gets off. But phone lines are open. I already got somebody calling in now. Just hang in there. We will take your calls in just a few minutes. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. All right. Still there with me, Rob?
I am still here. I'm still sitting up.
I play the little Ghostbusters demonic dog thing there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I've always been fascinated with, you talk about spirits and that, or do you believe in like spirit, like animals that are spirits that weren't a real animal? Like like the spirit animals. Like one of the things I'm fascinated with is like the hellhound. The dark and light side of these kind of like elemental creatures. Do you think there's something to that as well?
I think that there are things there are definitely things in the paranormal world that were not human or animal. And the reason I think that is because there are over 4,000 exoplanets that we have discovered, which means
that's a great point.
Yeah, exoplanets meaning planets that circle other stars that have the ability to support life. And there's another, I think there's another 8,000 or 9,000 that have been cataloged, but they haven't been analyzed yet. So I think what those non-human or animal entities are basically the energies, if you will, of those life forms from other places.
Well, the thing about this, I mean, we have the fossil records. Well, those fossils, that's not all the living creatures that were on this earth.
No.
We only have the little evidence of fossils. There's creatures that we wouldn't find any fossils of. They didn't get cemented in bedrock. They were lost completely. We never knew about them. I mean, think of the Gigantopithecus they talk about for being maybe the Bigfoot. All they found was a molar. That and extrapolated it, that's the Gigantopithecus. There's been so many different creatures, and if they're like other animals, they have souls too, and they could still be roaming here. That's why I say for the the Dogman and Bigfoot sightings, and that they could be ghosts of creatures that don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Now here in Maryland, we have what's thought to be a goat man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. If my 8-year-old he might still be awake. We don't want to say that too loud. He is fascinated by Goat Man. Just fascinated.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Any kind of cryptid thing like that, Bigfoot, Goat Man, he's on it. He is so fascinated by that.
Yeah. So he's actually supposed to be living, in the county that I live in here in Maryland. But
really,
yeah. If you're out and about at night and you go into a coffee shop, you can mistake anybody for a goat man.
Or Walmart.
Right. Sure.
You want to talk about some bad energy vibes? Go to Walmart. There you go. You feel it. You feel like I instantly don't want to be here. Late at night, especially.
My first example, when we're talking about energy, is just like going into a Walmart. I feel it.
Yeah. This bad mojo here. It's Walmart.
It actually
everybody's energies around, just everything.
Yeah. It's very depressing. People are just radiating very depressing energy from there. I have a hard time going into them. I don't go into them anyway, but
hard to even make
depressing energy all around. Yeah. We do have somebody waiting on the phone line I want to get to here. We got 203 area code. Who do we got on the line?
Hi, Jason and Rob. This is Azariana.
Hi, Azariana. Thanks for calling in.
I'm glad I got in. I have a question for your guest. I don't know if he believes in this or what his opinion is on it. I once had a cat who was a shapeshifter, and I was wondering if he believes that animals can, come back if they were people or things like that.
You say, hold on 1 second, Rob. So, Azariana, are you saying like after your cat had passed on, it could shapeshift into other things? Is that what you're saying?
No, when my cat was alive, it was a shapeshifter. Wow. And when he passed on, he went back to human form.
Really? I'm going to give Rob 1 second. I want to get this. This is really interesting. When the cat was alive, though, you felt like he could shapeshift or disguise him. I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand. Because this sounds fascinating.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a he, it was a she.
A she, sorry.
I've seen her. I had seen her shapeshift
into human
when she was alive.
Excuse me. So she would shapeshift into a human form?
Yes.
And then after she passed, she had returned to that human form?
Yes.
Was it always the same human form?
Yes, it was.
That's really interesting. Rob, okay, your thoughts. I got thoughts too on this, but I want Rob. Sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
I've not heard of that before, especially with a living animal. So unless there was a spirit that was influencing that cat, or just using that cat as a vessel to manifest, drawing the energy from the cat, I kind of speechless. I've never heard it before.
Well, I'm actually really interested in Ziriana because, I've heard some stories, my short years on this life, of people who claimed that a pet was a person they knew. Sometimes, that they came back to in their lives as a pet. I've heard some stories like this.
Like a reincarnated family
right, like a
member or
human
something.
decided, I'm going to be a cat to be with this person. Did you recognize the person at all? Like, did you, do you know who they were?
Yes, I knew their name and who they were.
Was that somebody that was deceased?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, so that kind of makes sense. That goes back to what I was saying. It's somebody in spirit who is using the cat and using the energy of the cat to manifest, so that they could show you that they are still around you. Usually that's what happens. Spirit will come through to us through another person or an animal or something like that.
But it's weird that that she would see the spirit of that person, like the cat would change. The cat would be gone, as Ariana, right? And then that person would be standing there where the cat was. That's fascinating. Because just wondering about the implications of it, Rob. You wonder what it's like when somebody gets on the other side. What are your options? Hey, I've always pictured it like, okay, now you're on the other side. We got some entertainment stuff for you. You want to be a bird for a little while? Go fly as a bird, Well, it makes me wonder, after my wife, my experience with my wife's grandmother who passed on, and seeing the bird, and it wasn't the only instance with the cardinal. I think, if I remember, I asked my wife, but I think she saw a cardinal the day after, or the morning she had passed away. But, we hear about spirits manipulating animals. Well, I mean, you could take like I said, the walk-in experience, you could walk in on an animal and be a cat for a day, like a video game. Because I always say life I swear, afterlife and our life mimic each other. And everybody jumps in and plays a video game and is a character. You can be a cat in a video game. You can be anything in a video game. Well, what if that's why we make video games? Because we're used to what we do on the other side. Because we were used to jumping in and playing different parts when we're on that side of existence.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you were talking about your cat that had passed away, and then the other cat that came back and looked like the other cat.
Yeah.
Except with long hair.
Yeah.
That's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence.
Me neither.
Coincidences. So that cat came back for a reason, whether it did look like that or it came back just like that for whatever reason maybe you needed.
Right. That's what I've always thought that. And I always tell people, trust your gut. Because I was, God, I remember how old I was when this happened. 96. I was a teenager, but, I trusted my gut then. I've always been into the weird and the paranormal, but I trusted my gut then. I felt that's what it was, even back then. I didn't speak it openly because, even my parents would get too emotional about it, and because they were really attached to that cat. But I swear that's what it was. I didn't tell people that, but I held that thought in all my ever since that's what it was. And I tell people, when you have these instances happen, especially with animals or these signs, what does your initial gut tell you? If that's the thought that comes to your mind, like, could this be so and so? I bet you it is. Well, thank you, Ziriana, for calling in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, and have a great night.
And a happy New Year.
Mine was in October, so.
No, New Year, not birthday. New Year.
For selling, so.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. My New Year's coming up. I don't want to have an early 2020. No, 2020 can wait. But yeah, it's really interesting, Rob. You know, when she talks about seeing the cat and then suddenly a person's there, what it is that the mechanism of what's happening when spirits are influencing animals to send messages. You know, how far does that go?
Yeah, that's a great question. We certainly don't know all the answers, but that's the first I've heard of a living animal helping a spirit manifest.
Well, you think other, I mean, you know, with in India, you know, a lot of people believe the spirits of their loved ones go into or become cows. You know, that they're living through the cows, and that's why they're worshiping. That gets in the whole topic of reincarnation. How does reincarnation play into all this too?
Sure. I address reincarnation in my books as far as I understand it from the people I've spoken to on the other side and the pets. We all come back. Usually, though, we wait until the people that we know in this life, or the pets that we know in this life, have passed. And then once everybody that we know in the current time has passed, then we come back. And we're all connected, and we'll all be connected in different ways too. So, for instance, your father may be your brother in the next life.
Or, you know, like, you know, my sons could have been my father in another life. I mean, you know, you wonder, sure. I know, I mean, you wonder what the perspective's like on the other side. Cause some people are like, well, why, you know, this person swore they'd talk to me from the other side and they don't, or I don't know why they don't communicate me. You wonder when somebody crosses over, the perspective changes so much because they are now, I guess, open to all the other lives they've lived. They're more than the person they were here on this planet, the higher self, you could call it.
Yeah, we recall all the lives that we lived before once we cross over. And one of the aspects of reincarnation that I find fascinating is that to know how you lived before in this life, you are drawn to something or someplace that you may never have been before. In my instance, I had always been drawn to southwestern Arizona. And when I learned about Tombstone, I went and visited there. Tombstone, where, you know, Wyatt Earp, the OK Corral. Yeah. The first time I went there and visited was 1993. And I was walking down the street with a friend, just getting into town. Somebody asked me where the courthouse was. And I was able to tell them that it was like 2 blocks down and to the left at the end of the street. Oh, and my friend looked at me and he said, "How in the heck do you know that?" And I said, I don't know. I don't know why I even said that. I've never been here before. So we walked 2 blocks down took a left, and at the end of the street, there was the courthouse. And he said, "That's freaky. How do you know that?" And I said, "Obviously, I lived here before."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, my stepdad, who's a very skeptical, scientific kind of person. When I was a kid, we went up to my family's place in Minnesota, mm-hmm. and me and him both are like, "I've been here before." We both said it, like when we got there, like, and I don't, you know, he's not even blood related to that family at all, but it makes you wonder, maybe we were in a past life in that family line.
You were,
you know,
yeah.
It makes you, that's something that's always fascinated me with reincarnation.
So have you ever been drawn to a time in history or another place that you've never been?
Oh yeah. Yeah. A few places, few things, but yes, definitely.
Okay, so those are very likely indications of places that you've lived, or times that you've lived in before.
There might be a lot of places because I've had a lot of fascination with a number of places, but for me, it's anything to do with Tibet, and then anything and Vietnam area too. I don't know why. And then I had a really vivid dream, I think, that explains the Vietnam thing, because I swear I was a Buddhist monk there. I had a really vivid dream. Where I was a monk, and I think it was Vietnam. And then the other thing I'm fascinated with, and I don't know if it's past life or not, is the Smoky Mountains. Just totally drawn to the Smoky Mountains.
I love the Smokies myself.
Oh yeah, it might just be the beauty. We do got people calling in, so we want to get to these other phone calls. We got 763 area code. Who do we got?
We've got Brenna.
You said Brenna?
Yeah.
Brenna. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I'm wondering, lately, in the last, I would say, week or so, my dog's been acting really, really funny at certain times. And it's similar to one other time that I know I had kind of summoned some angels. And I'm just kind of wondering what is going on there. Is there like spirit, or is there angels around or something around that's making her behave that way? Because she'll dart away and avoid me and try to kind of stay away from me. So I'm not sure.
You said you're summoning angels?
Well, no, I did at one point, and it completely freaked out my dog. So I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
And so she's got really, really nervous. She's a really cool, confident dog. And anyway, so she's been kind of doing that recently, and it just brings back that same familiar kind of fear that she had at that time. So any thoughts on that?
Sure. I'll just jump right in. One of the things that's important to know is that dogs and cats have a different physiology than we do in their eyes and in their ears. So they have the ability to see ghosts and spirits. They can see faster movement in their eyes. And I read about this in the Pets in the Afterlife book. We cannot see them. If we see a spirit or a ghost, it's usually a shadow, and it's very quickly passing. But dogs and cats can see those spirits or ghosts head on. They can also hear them. If you think about a dog whistle, we can't hear a dog whistle because it's at a higher frequency, but they hear it. And as a paranormal investigator, I've learned using digital recorders that spirits or ghosts speak at higher and lower frequencies. So dogs can hear them too. So given the fact that they can hear and see an earthbound ghost or a spirit, maybe that you called over, it would freak them out. And the reason it would freak them out is because often those spirits may visibly appear to the dog, but the dog can't smell them, and dogs rely heavily on smell.
Right. I never thought about that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So know that whenever your dog starts to act weird or, stare at something or get skittish, that a spirit of a loved one, most likely, has come to visit you. And ask the spirit that not to frighten your dog. And they will acknowledge that, and they will do that.
Right. Which I have done that and said, there is absolutely no freaking out my dog. Period. So I mean, is there something I can do with her? I try to comfort her, but like I said, she's been kind of avoiding me lately, which is not like her at all.
Well, she's probably trying to figure out what exactly she's been seeing. So whatever words you use to comfort her, just tell her it's okay.
Okay.
And call the spirit that you've asked to come visit by name and say, grandma's visiting today. It's okay. It's okay. And give your dog a treat. And
right.
Well,
recently, I mean, like I said, in the last few days, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Once the dog starts associating with the visit of a spirit with a treat, then the dog will start to know it's a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, but I have not been calling to anybody or anything lately. She's just kind of intermittently acting funny like that. So yeah, real skittish and really scared and trying to get outside, and I don't know, weird.
So also then think about what this time of the year may mean to somebody on the other side for you, somebody who may have passed at this time, or somebody who may have been born around this time, that they may be visiting you. And it's usually around the holidays, some between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's when all of our loved ones on the other side come to visit. So maybe after the holidays, your dog may be able to relax and spirits will stop visiting.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for calling in.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Well, I said just recently, because you're like, what, the third medium I've had on the, 3 weeks in a row, I've had a different medium on. I said it kind of works out because it's a holiday season, and it does seem like our thoughts are drawn there. We're thinking about our loved ones during this time of year, but that a lot of people do have these experiences during the holiday time. We do have somebody else waiting on the phone line, and the phone lines are still blowing up, so I better get to that. We got 405 area code. Who do we got? 405 area code, you there? Hello? We don't hear you.
They're talking at a higher frequency than we can hear.
Tune in.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
It's Sprint.
There we go. I had my phone on mute there. This is Tyler.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for calling in.
I talk about this quite a bit on the show. I have lucid dreams. I've been studying quite a bit about them, and I'll even have apparitions after I wake up standing right in front of me, and it scares the crap out of me, and because I just starting to get in tune with it a little bit more. And the last one I had was looked like he had curly black hair, and he was just sitting in my seat and was just staring at me. And I mean, I was screaming, and then he finally disappeared, but he didn't say nothing. And I don't understand why I dream of these things and they talk to me, but as soon as I wake my eyes up to stop the dream, they're staring right at me and not saying anything.
So how does he communicate with them? Or should he?
Well, anytime somebody decides to visit us from the other side, if you're uncomfortable, you have to tell them that. Tell them if you open your eyes and you're awake and they're standing there, tell them that you're uncomfortable and you don't want them to come back. Often, though, it seems like you're very sensitive, so you're likely getting messages from a lot of people who want to get in touch with people that in some way, whether they're friends of yours or they're family members of yours, even though you don't recognize these people in spirit. As we mentioned earlier in the show, is that that spirits will come to people they know they can get through to. So that's probably what's going on with you. But before you go to sleep,
that makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense because, like, most of the people, like, I had my son's grandfather. He came and visited me one time and wanted me to deliver a message, which I did. Mm-hmm. It was kind of weird explaining how I knew about the message, but sometimes it's just like this. I know I told the story a long time ago of my ex-girlfriend. She passed away the night that I so happened to spend the night across the street from her apartment, and I didn't know she passed away, and I was going to go see her the next day, and she appeared to me, but she was trying to get me to go into her house and get this poster, but I was like, no, I can't get in there because that's breaking and entering, and I'm not going to get in trouble for that. But she was standing right in front of me, and my two friends seen her, and she vanished. It was cold. I could see my breath. I mean, it was just something I'll never forget.
Wow. So you are sensitive. So here's what I would recommend before you go to bed at night. This is something I do. When you're laying there and you're at peace, envision a blanket of white light over you as kind of a protectant. To keep out unwanted intrusions by any spirits who are trying to give you messages. That way you'll have a more peaceful sleep, and they'll come to you mostly when you're awake. So by picturing white light, like a blanket of white light, it's like positive energy that you're actually putting out there. And as paranormal investigators, we do that before we go into a place that's thought to be haunted, just so we can protect ourselves.
Is it wrong for me not to like? I feel like sometimes like it's wrong for me not to want to help, but at the same time I'm crossing over to something I feel like is too much for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same for everybody that has any kind of talent or ability. Everybody wants your help. Everybody wants your help for free. Everybody wants your help all at
Right.
once. And you're only one guy, and you have to take care of yourself first, because your health is what matters. If you're unhealthy, and it's really important, especially to get enough sleep. Take it from me, because I'm up late tonight. We don't function well if we don't have enough sleep. And these spirits that are coming through to you, even though you want to help them, they're not thinking about your health. They're thinking about what they want. So put that blanket of white light over you, and you can just say before you go to bed, if anybody is out there that wants to get through to me, come through to me when I'm awake in the morning.
Okay, I'll try that.
Okay.
I'm definitely down for that.
Well,
I
thanks.
haven't had anything serious in the past couple weeks, but it's I notice when my episodes start happening is when I feel I have a lot of pressure on my head, like almost like a headache, but it
sounds like your chakra.
knocks me out to the point,
Is
it's
it
so
at the,
painful, it just knocks
is
me
it,
out.
is it at the top of your head
And
or
that's
your
when
forehead?
I start having the flares.
Hey, Tyler.
Yeah, it's in my forehead.
It's in your forehead. That sounds like your chakra, which before I knew what chakras were, I didn't know what I heard of them, but I had no idea what they were. And when I first, my early 20s, started really experimenting with this stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing, I would feel like this pressure in my head. And then I would feel at the top of my head, and it'd feel like the spinning, either in the front of my head or at the top of my head or in my throat. And I had no idea what chakras were at the time, what they really were. And I started reading, I'm like, that's exactly what I'm experiencing. I thought I had a tumor in my head when it first started happening, because it was so weird. And it was so like the weird pressure that it was. I literally thought I had something wrong with me. And then I found out what chakras were. So yeah, that's probably what you're experiencing, buddy.
So Tyler and Jason, I just want to mention that
go ahead.
Whenever I am in the presence of a ghost or a spirit, I actually get a headache in the back of my head, and it's like a dull headache. And I attribute that to energy overload.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that exact feeling on investigations.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times. It usually ends with the night with feeling like that. And I know, my friend, I should just say the fellow investigator, I saw her in the chat room earlier, Judy, used to be on the show here with us. I know she's up late for once. Lately, we go to any investigation, she always ends up having to end the night because she has a massive headache. And I've always wondered if it's related to, because like she's the one who had the walk-in experience, if it's related to spirit or ghost.
Yeah, I mean, our thoughts can be measured as little electrical impulses in our brain, and my theory here is that because ghosts and spirits are energy, they are adding to that electrical impulse in our brain and giving us a headache.
That's really interesting. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, it's like too much energy going into the brain.
See what happens when you talk to a scientist?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
May
I love
ask,
that though.
When you also get the headaches in the back, do you start feeling like a ringing in your ears, almost to where it'll pulsate like really hard sometimes?
No, I've not experienced that. Probably because I don't have anything between my ears.
Scientific answer there. No.
I mean, I get Jamie, I get ringing in my ears all the time when it's almost like intuition kicking in. Like or someone's talking about me. My left ear will start ringing. It's like someone's talking to me. When the right one goes off, that means like I don't know, something spirit's talking to me or something.
Yeah, mine sometimes it feels like it's either going like into my ear means one thing, or if it's going from like in to out, it means something.
Here, Judy commented.
really
She
weird.
said, I get the head pain at Crown Point Jail. Yeah, like every time I've taken Judy to Crown Point Jail, it was horrible. We went to see Ghost Brothers, which are funny group of guys, loved it. But poor Judy, like, had to sit out the whole dang thing. Her head was just killing her. It's like every time I go now, it's just like she knows she's going to get one of those headaches there. It's just weird. And my aunt had the same thing. I took my aunt to Crown Point Jail. It's funny. I took my aunt to Crown Point Jail. She suffers from headaches, so they could just be the random headache that came on. But she could hardly be there that night. As soon as we got there, she had the headache thing happen. So yeah, I think there's a lot to that. Well, Tyler, thank you for calling in, bud.
No problem, man. Thank you. Have a good night. Love you guys.
All right. Have a good night, Tyler.
Later.
You know, you wonder the ring in the ear too. I'm getting that. I get a weird feeling sometimes. I'll get this ringing in my ear, and I just get this weird feeling that comes over me. And I honestly have no idea what it means to this day. And I do have it happen to me once in a while. But yeah, you wonder if it's some kind of overload in the brain. I've never thought of it that way. That you know, and that's like, you wonder how spirits are. Like, my imagination goes wild with the idea of what spirits are doing. Like, are they like reaching into our brains with their ghost hand, you know, or are they merging with us to communicate? You know, what are they doing? You talked about that they seem to move faster, you know, like that's why dogs can pick them up. It's like, are they moving at a higher speed? Like all their actions and everything they're doing, like besides a different frequency, like they're even moving at a different speed than us. Like we're all like slow motion around them or something.
Well, it's also like kind of an electromagnetic field. So Jamie, things. So ghosts will affect you and Jason and Rob and I all differently to some degree. It's all how it's based on our physiology and how we react to energy. So if you think of electromagnetic fields, when you go into a house and there's an electrical box that's giving off a heavy electromagnetic field, that will cause anxiety. That sometimes will cause headaches. That will cause a paranoia, like you'll think that somebody's behind you. So that's an example, like an electrical box that's not properly grounded.
Right.
That's an example of how it affects us living. And spirits and ghosts, because they're energy, they will affect us in much the same way.
There's definitely a relationship there. I mean, I'll never forget this investigation. I had 2 investigators go out to check out this house and said, yeah, man, there's some stuff going on there. We get there. And I knew the moment I walked in, I'm like, oh, I don't think this is paranormal. This is electrical. You could hear the power lines buzzing above this house. And the EMF I was getting off this house was crazy. We brought my friend Rick, Medium, over there. And he's like, why'd you bring me here? This is awful. You know, it's like, and I'm like, well, guys, did you not pull out the K2s at least or like do a sweep? Well, they were, and I, you know, basically I had to tell the client, like, yeah, look at this. You know, your electrical box is way down there, but I'm up here and I'm getting 150 milligauss at the top of on your second floor. You know, right? Your electric box is giving off so much. There's something wrong in the wiring in this house. You talk to your landlord. She just got out because it was awful. I mean, it was something coming right from the power lines itself too. It was crazy, you know, and it was making her like she always felt like she was being watched, and you know, and seeing shadows move. And I felt it was all electromagnetic, you know. But I also wonder sometimes too, because I've experienced this where I was at a house that had, you could pick up the electromagnetic from the foundation of the house. They actually had no power into this house. It had been shut off for years, but yet there was still a huge electrical field. They actually grounded the house wrong and created like a magnetic field within this house, even after the power was shut down years later.
Wow.
But there was definitely spirits there. I mean, we got EVPs. There were spontaneous fires they had happen there when they were living there, when the electricity was. I can only imagine how bad the electromagnetic field was when they had electricity going into that house. But I always wondered, do you think spirits either are pushed away or drawn to some of these electromagnetic places, you know, that have like either bad electricity or giving off huge amounts of electromagnetic, you know, a huge milligauss field like that? Do the spirits use that, you think, sometimes?
Yeah, I think both earthbound ghosts and spirits will be able to use that energy. I've done a number of paranormal investigations with houses under power lines, and it's much more active. They draw that anywhere they can get an energy source. You know, heat, light, water, and electricity are the physical energies that both of the entities that use. But for people who live near or under power lines, you will likely feel, something more than the average person. You may feel more paranoia. You may feel like somebody's watching you, and you might have more paranormal activity.
Wonder what's going to happen when we get 5G. Go ahead.
When I lived in Fresno, we actually had these power lines right over the back fence that you could always hear buzzing and humming. We actually had to sign paperwork acknowledging that to rent the house.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. We do have somebody that's been waiting on phone. I know he's been trying to call in, so I want to make sure we get to him before we get to our last commercial break. We got Zach on the line. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Rob. I just have two questions, but I'll keep them nice and short. So you talked about how you've been in communication with animal spirits of dogs and cats, but have you ever made contact with any other pets, such as like horses or peacocks or hamsters, goldfish, etc.?
Sure, that's a great question, and the answer is yes. So any domesticated animal that lives with humans has the ability to hear the words that we say, feel the emotions that we have, be part of the routine. Even horses are certainly are very intelligent. They have routine. They know their names. They know different commands and so forth like that, just like dogs. So I've been in contact with horses and pigs and birds and ferrets, guinea pigs, rabbits. I draw the line, though. I won't talk with reptiles.
Yeah, Rob. See, Rob over here is the big reptile pet guy, and I'm like, they're not pets. Pets.
I'll let you talk to the reptiles, Rob.
Well, okay. You looking at cat's eyes, you're looking at dog's eyes, you see that soul. You looking at snake's eyes, I'm going to eat you. I have no soul. That's how I feel about snakes. Sorry, Rob. That's just how I feel about snakes. I'm sure they're a living creature and they're a beautiful spirit, whatever. No, not snakes.
So what was your other question? Was that it?
No, he's got another. He's always got good questions.
My second question is, when you come in contact with these spirits, do they always have a distinct voice that correlates with their personality that they had in life, or do they have a generic male-female voice that goes in accordance with their biological sex when they're alive?
Oh, that's a great question. And the answer is they have a generic voice. But I can always tell whether it is a male or a female.
Really?
Just by the energy. Yeah.
So you feel it, but the voice is like this. Because like I said, the really main one mediumistic channeling thing I ever did, it was that little inner voice inside my head. It's like it could be my own voice, but it's telling me things I shouldn't know. But it's always that same voice then that you hear.
It is, but I will tell you what's really interesting is that because I go on vacation to different places, I have heard people in different languages speak to me.
Right.
I couldn't understand. I actually went on one paranormal investigation here in Maryland, and there was the spirit of the woman's father had come into the house to let me know that he was there, and he was speaking to me in Greek. It sounded to me like Greek. And I turned to her. She happened to be in the room when we were investigating. And I said, "Excuse me, was your father Greek? Because he's here and it sounds like Greek to me." And no pun intended, but anything. Right. She said, "Yes, he's Greek." And she said, "Why is he here?" And he made me feel like he was there to protect her from the negative entity that we were investigating.
I do think that's my one negative energy experience. We'll talk about that in a second. I felt like a relative of mine stepped in too. Well, thank you, Zach. Do you have any other questions, or is that it?
That was it. Thank you, Rob, so much for answering my questions, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night.
I've talked about it on the show as my shadow person experience. I had a really negative entity experience. I don't call it demonic. It was an entity, was not human, felt alien-like to me. And it all ended with, I swear, my great grandfather stepping through and saving me, who I didn't know him in life. But when I saw a picture, I'm like, that's it. I actually thought it was my other great grandfather for a while until I saw a picture of the one that was definitely him. When I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's my grandfather Bach. I thought it would have been my great grandfather Mason, who seemed to be the protector of me and my mom, we've been told. But it was my great grandfather Bach who came through, and it was a spit. And when I saw the picture, I'm like, oh yeah, that's who it was. But I swear he kicked this negative entity right out. I asked for help. I asked for help from God, and bright white flash, and there he is for a few seconds, smiled at me, but kind of gave me a stern look, like, don't let me have to do this again, kind of deal. I don't know. It was like that message, like, yeah, I'm saving your butt on this. But yeah, you wonder, our ancestors and our past relatives, how much they do try to protect us from some of the negative things that are out there.
Yeah, it happens often. Actually, I'd like to address that with relatives on the other side that we may not have even met, because that's something that I've run into a lot. Is that you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So people will say to me, who are my loved ones with on the other side when they have somebody that just passes away, whether it be person or pet, and I will tell them that I will often sense that they're people from previous generations that they never met. And they say, well, how is that possible? They don't even know me. Well, they do know you, because everybody that is related to us is linked to us by energy of love. It's like an invisible tether. Often people will say, my dog has passed, and I want to know who he's with on the other side. And I've had a lot of great grandparents who have been there on the other side, and they say, well, that's it. How is that possible? How do they know me? Why would they even be there for my dog? And again, we're all connected because of the love that we share through the family lines. So,
and I tell the other story I've told on the show, it relates to that, is the one time, we do spirit box stuff on here once in a while live on the show. Years ago, or 3-4 years ago, when I was starting to do this show, wanting to do that, test it out, I was testing out spirit boxes. And I was online with other people, and I was like, I gotta go, I got a weird feeling. And I went upstairs and found my son hiding under a table. He's like, there was a man and a little girl here.
Oh my God.
And he was like 3-4 years old. I'm like, well, tell me what they looked like. And he told me the little girl was wearing a white dress and she had dark hair. Well, when I was a little boy, I used to see this little girl with dark hair and a white dress. I thought she was a real little girl. And my mom found out from a psychic or a medium that was her unborn daughter she miscarried that I was talking to, without acknowledging me. That's a whole other long story. But I asked him, what did the guy look like? And he said he had white shirt, pants, and belts on his shirt. I'm like, suspenders maybe? He didn't know what suspenders were. And he had glasses. Well, that's what I saw when my great-grandfather stepped through. So like he's still there, was still protecting me from me being stupid, probably doing spirit boxes in the house, protecting my son. And a man who's never met me and never met him, is still there watching over me.
Absolutely.
And I just, they've, that connection. I know you talked about like reincarnation, waiting on the other side for everybody to pass over. So you think everybody, when they pass over, they don't reincarnate right away. They're all just kind of waiting for that soul group or family to move over to their side. And then everybody just decides, okay, we're all going to do a new game plan and reincarnate.
Well, once everybody that we know in the present life has passed, then we reincarnate. By the way, recently this year, I lost a really good friend of mine. Her name is Mary Lenzen, and she helped manage an animal rescue in New Hampshire, in Ossipee, New Hampshire, where I gave a couple of talks about pets in the afterlife. And when she passed, she came through to me with a really amazing sign. She showed me that on the other side, there were all kinds of dogs and cats with wagging tails, waiting for her. And she showed me that when she went into the light, they were all wagging tails. And, that just choked me up and brought me to tears, actually.
Yeah.
But I was able to share that with her friend Celeste, and she shared that with her family. But it's amazing who is on the other side waiting for us. So she saved thousands of dogs and cats up there in New Hampshire doing rescue work, and they all acknowledged it. All the ones that had passed.
Wow. It's crazy how, people that work in medical field too, like my mom, when I told you she went to this medium, knew, she said, the little girl your son's talking to is your daughter that you miscarried. She knew that with my mom not saying a word. She also knew patients that my mom had helped, because my mom was a respiratory therapist, and the patients were telling her, thank you for your care. Thank you for helping us. Our families wanted to say thank you. It's all coming through. It's how many lives we touch and what that does on the other side. There's so many ramifications to the idea of the afterlife and what's going on there, how it influences our lives every day. It just, makes imagination go wild how they are influencing our lives.
And it's kind of like that movie, It's a Wonderful Life, they show at Christmas all the time. You don't realize how many lives you touch.
Right. Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
And how what's the effects of that on the other side, when you get there.
It's all good.
Unless you're a bad person.
So if you're a jerk in this life, you're a jerk in the afterlife.
That's a good point. Yeah. Right. That's a scary thought too, because if you're a serial killer in the afterlife and now you're on the other side, what are you? A scary thought.
Well, you do get clarity of thought once you're on the other side. You realize all the bad things that you did in this life, but you can still be a jerk. You may not be a maniacal killer on the other side, but you can still have.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, you hear listen to Ted Bundy interviews. You see these guys talk. They are sociopaths. They have no care for anybody but themselves.
No, true.
I don't know what kind of realization's happening for them on the other side. They're the kind of people that make me wish there's a hell. I don't know if I believe in a hell, but they're the kind of people that make me wish there is a hell for them, because they have no feelings for anybody else. You can hear it when they talk.
Yeah. So what I found is that normally those kinds of people, they have awareness of what they're doing, and they stay earthbound.
And that's scary.
And that's like being in an isolation prison cell. That's like being in hell. That's what I consider hell, is being trapped as a ghost.
True. I mean, yeah. Hopefully they're trapped in places they completely hated.
Exactly. But so that leads to a point, though. That's why prisons have, prisons that are empty have a lot of ghosts and activity there. Because these people, once they passed, they have an awareness that they did bad things in their lives, and they're afraid to cross over. So they stay behind.
Right. It's that fear, I'm going to go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
There's an afterlife. I'm here. I'm dead, but I'm still here. So if I go to that white tunnel, that might not be a good,
Exactly.
That's the question. Is how do you think, people's religious beliefs affect them on the other side,
They affect them right after we die. So as a paranormal investigator, I have found that most people who are religiously conservative, they stay behind because they are totally afraid to cross into that light. They think that they're going to go to hell. So for people who are very religious, please take note that you need to cross over. On the other side, there's peace, there's forgiveness, there's love. It's just, it's all about energy. And that's the way I look at the other side. You can incorporate your religious beliefs into the science of energy, but that's what it is. We become energy on the other side.
You wonder too, people have had near-death experiences or religious experiences, seen the Mother Mary. How much of that, and I'm not trying to just solve, because I'm not, I believe in the possibility of all religions, and in that idea is how much on the other side there's a heaven for Christians and a heaven for Jewish people, a heaven for Muslims, separate little heavens for their perception of what the afterlife is.
Yeah,
that's what I've always wondered, because of what people have seen, and and near-death experiences and that.
So Yeah, so my take on that is it's all the same place. Like I said, it's all energy. I mean, if you think about like gamma rays, cosmic rays, X-rays, everything just streaming through the universe ad infinitum. That's what it is. That's what we become. Our energy joins that, and that's why entities from other solar systems can come here, is because they join the energy stream.
I always felt I was an alien, so. That's what I've always said.
And here's the other thing too about that is, but when spirits come to us and they tell us that they are in heaven, or they are with a religious figure, the reason they tell us that is because it brings us comfort if we are of a certain religion.
Right.
It's all to just bring us comfort. You know, it's just like other spirits. Mediums will say that everybody has a job on the other side. Well, there really isn't a job on the other side.
I hope not. Please no.
I know. No, we're retired.
Right.
There's no job on the other side. We're free flowing energy. And but some mediums will tell you that because it brings comfort to us. We have to associate it with the physical world.
It's a way to do it. Yeah, it's like talk about a job. For people like in Beetlejuice, like all the people that have to work in the office because they all committed suicide or whatever. Like the guy who's flattened by a car, or the girl. I just hope there's not a work life in the afterlife, because I'm probably never going to get to retire in real life. Right. So at least hopefully in death I get to. We're going to go to our last commercial break, guys. Oh, hold on, if I get the music run. We're going to our last commercial break. Phone lines are still open: 219-230-4444, 260-225-9419, or Skype IDs OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. Those are your ways to call in. If you call in and I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. Just try again. But we will be back after this short commercial break.
Intercepted transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Again, this is the USS Montana requesting that you immediately divert your course 15 degrees to the north to avoid a collision. Over.
Please divert your course 15 degrees to the south to avoid collision.
This is Captain Hancock. You will divert your course. Over.
Negative, Captain. I'm not moving anything. Change your course. Over.
So, this is the USS Montana, the second largest vessel in the North Atlantic Fleet. You will change course 15 degrees north, or I will be forced to take measures to ensure the safety of this ship. Over.
This is the lighthouse, mate. It's your call. Hello, Captain. I think he's gone. Fair enough.
For every Earthling who's ever dreamed of adventures beyond the stars comes the astonishing story of one who made it, Alex Rogan.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada.
Of all the life forms in all the galaxies, one has been chosen to be the last Starfighter. The Last Starfighter, with the film of the #1 hit Do They Know It's Christmas, the official Band-Aid story. In the West End and across London now, rated PG.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
Tired of school? Who was Joan of Arc?
Noah's wife?
Like to travel?
Let's go back into history. Let's reach out and touch someone.
Want to meet people in the past?
Put them in the Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden? Excellent! Execute them. Otis.
Then hitch a ride with George Carlin, Keanu Reeves, and Alex Winter in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure from Orion Pictures.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Eat them up. Do, re, be gone.
Tonight, we've been talking to our guest, Rob Gutro, author of Kindred Spirits, When a Medium Befriends a Spirit. We've got a lot of different subjects. It's Paranormal Soup. We go down a lot of different rabbit holes tonight. But you can still call in and add your own 2 cents to this or ask Rob a question at 219-230-4444 or at 260-225-9419. You can also call in by Skype IDs OO-J-Bland-OO or at Skype ID J-Bland Paranormal Soup. Call in with your questions. Still got a half an hour left. We'll take your calls. Let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Thanks for hanging in there with us, Rob. All right. So one of the, you talk about we don't have jobs on this side. One thing that does kind of seem like a job a little bit is when some people, I've had a lot of memes say that, you have this spirit guide that comes in and helps you. That seems like that could be a job. Spirit guides.
It is a job. Yeah, it absolutely is a job. Their main purpose is to actually help make sure that we are on the right path and we don't do anything that's going to cause us any harm. And they can be people or animals.
A spirit animal, people have said that, but it seems like, some people have, like, I've heard people talk about spirit guides, like, they'll have somebody even famous come through, like a musician or a religious person or, something like that. Like that, this spirit's coming into your life now to help you with this task. Like, you believe spirit, certain spirits do that. They do kind of hop to people and help them in different parts of their lives. Like that is kind of their job.
Sure. Well, sure. Anything's possible. It's like whoever has an ability to help us through a certain thing, they can help us. But those particular spirits, the ones that are not connected to us, are usually asked by someone in spirit that does know us.
Or like your personal spirit guides, like, hey, I need help from this person. You know, we come in and help. That makes sense. It makes sense. But the spirit guides that are attached to us 24/7, you know, do you think those are passed on people, or they're people who never lived on Earth? When you hear spirit guides, you wonder, is it spirits, like people who passed on, or are they something else?
I think they're people and pets who passed on. I did a meditation, a guided meditation, to find out that one of my spirit guides is a man, an elder man named Jacob. I don't know him. I don't know him at all, but he's around. The other one is my dog Buzz, who passed. The one who's behind me over there.
He's still there with you.
Yeah, he's always around. And as a matter of fact, it was only as a result of Buzz's passing that I'm able to communicate with animals.
Yeah, he's what awakened you to that ability.
Yes.
So you think Buzz, in a way, is like you're kind of like, you have the spirit guides bringing, you have human spirit guides that are like helping with the human spirits, and then you have Buzz that's helping with the animal spirits.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
And that is really interesting. What goes on inside those little noggins of those dogs and cats, there's so much more than we could ever understand. For me, one of the things, I have two, my Bella and Asia. Bella's 16, going on 17. And Asia, she's 13, 14. They're getting towards their end of their life. I have an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. These dogs have been part of their life since since they've been here. I mean, they've always had these dogs here. I'm trying to prep them for the inevitable. I'm also trying to prep myself and try to understand making that difficult choice. And I've never had to make that choice for a pet. I've been there for my mom and my dad when they lost, their cats and a dog just recently. Mm-hmm. But I've never had to make that choice. And is there anything? Is there a way that your pet tells you? I mean, besides do them just, because my question is, me and my wife have been talking about this a lot lately, mm-hmm. is like, are they in pain? Would they, is there a way for us to know that, are their lives miserable? Like, what should we do? It's the hardest. This is coming to become the hardest decision I've had to make in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to do that with our dog Sprite, who passed in 2013. But he had a tumor that erupted in his nose. So we didn't have much of a choice. Besides, he was 16 and a half years old. He could barely walk. He didn't, when he stopped eating, we knew that was it. So that's one of the signs. So when they stop eating, when they have difficulty walking, sometimes they'll moan a lot. Now, we have a 15-and-a-half-year-old dachshund, Franklin, who moans a lot every night. And I know he's in pain. He has arthritis. So he's on pain medicine.
Right. Both my dogs, like my Asia, she's a pug, and she's like hunched up now. And they tested before, so it was, benign tumor on her stomach. Well, it's getting big. It's growing out. And she's hunched up. I'm like, is she in pain? She's not like whimpering all the time, but both her and Bella, who's older, mm-hmm. I mean, Bella, I could barely get her out of. I thought she was dead one morning because she's deaf, so she doesn't hear me. So I'm like, Bella, and she had her eyes like rolled up, and she was barely breathing. I thought that was it, and then she was up, back, getting into the garbage the next month. So I haven't, I'm still at the point, like, she's still getting into stuff. They're still both eating, I mean, Asia still screams at Bella every time she gets near her while she's eating. So they're still eating. It's just like, I don't want them to be in pain. It's like,
when they start getting withdrawn or they act oddly, totally different. Sometimes pets will go into another room, or they'll try and be off more on their own.
They'll start hiding.
Yeah, they'll start hiding, and especially when they stop eating, even their favorite treats. So that's what happened with Sprite. And just a note for people who are dealing with this, 2 things. Number one, when you make the decision to bring your pet to a vet to help them cross over, your pet will sometimes have a burst of energy Sprite went through that. We took treats with us.
Like, I'm fine. Don't do this. Is that what it is? Because that's what I wonder. Oh God.
All the treats that we gave him on the way, and I felt terrible guilt. And I said, "Oh my gosh, this is the wrong time." But what Sprite told me after he passed is that he was very excited that we understood what his message to us, that it was time.
So he wanted, I'm going to enjoy some last treats before I go.
Well, he wanted to be appreciative, and he was so excited that we recognized that it was the right time. The other thing too is that if you are having a hard time, my friend Merle in Canada had me do this. She said, write me an email and tell me all the things that your dog is experiencing right now, and and then I'll send it to you in a couple of days, and you tell me if you did the right thing. So do that. Write an email to a friend, have them send it back to you, and say, do you think it's time? And I read it.
I had a certain family member. She that treats all animals like livestock because that's how she was raised. Say years ago, to put them down when they started losing it because they have no bladder control anymore. And I'm like, no, like I said, Bella's still getting into stuff. She still finds a way to get into my garbage every day.
Our 2-year-old Weimaraner has been wearing a diaper for 3 months.
Yeah, we have to keep. I feel bad. Like they're passed out in the living room right now because we let them in there. But most of the time I have to keep them in the kitchen because I can't keep up. I can't keep up with them, But I'm like, I'm not going to put them down just because I can't deal with this. I don't know how people do it.
So there's a website called In the Company of Dogs, and I ordered a diaper that it's a cloth diaper. Yeah. And what I do is I put in either I cut up a diaper or kind of a maxi pad or whatever. I've
done that.
And that takes care of it.
I wish it did for me, but Bella gets it off of her, and then she gets it off of Asia. Just to complicate it, because that's Bella.
You're going to know. You're just going to know when you look in their eyes. You're going to know.
They look so sad. That's what kills me.
The other day, I went to bring her in, and she waited for me until I came in that morning, and she died as I was putting her in the box to take her in.
I look in their eyes, and they just look so. They don't look happy. That's the one thing that gets me. I look in their eyes.
They're old,
right? This is the difficult.
And what he said about the eating is the biggest thing. Once they stop eating, that's their body starting to shut down.
Everybody's told me that.
Naturally. Now, if it starts convulsing and they're not breathing and it looks like they're suffering, then you go. But if they're just piddling and being old, you just take care of them until it's that time.
Yeah.
And when you have to make that decision, you're going to know, they're going to tell you, and it's going to be okay.
Absolutely, Jamie. Yep, absolutely.
I'm sure the messages a lot of the messages brought across to people is like, it's okay, what you did, because I watched my parents go through it. It's so hard. There's so much guilt involved, even when you don't have a choice because of what they're in. There's just guilt, like I let you down. Even when they're dying of old age, you still feel that way because it's such a short time.
So that's the other thing too, is that all the messages I get from pets on the other side are always thanks. Thanks for having the courage. Thanks for loving me enough to let me go. Thanks for helping me cross over out of pain. And please don't feel guilty. There's nothing to feel guilty about when you have such intense love for someone that you are willing to do that.
And there's some people are just not pet lovers or animal lovers, and they just don't get it. Like, so what? Your dog died. Get over it. Well, it's like, you don't understand what it's like.
Now there's people who have no soul.
Right, exactly. It's like, you don't understand. There are people that don't have pets, or they treated animals like livestock. It's like, I know the time's coming. Like I said, Bella, how that dog hasn't killed herself. All the chocolate she's gotten into, and tampons, and everything imaginable that dog's eaten, nothing's killed her.
She's a very
she like said she can be 17. She's a puggle.
Wow.
And and she's actually, her parents were brother and sister puggles. So she's an inbred puggle. But boy, that whatever the genes are, that she's kept going and literally can eat anything. Iron stomach.
I think it's probably a little bit to do with the love that she gets.
I feel guilty as a parent though, because that's the thing. I see, there's a few dog movies out there where like the parents have this dog, they love the dog, and then they get a kid, and it's like, okay, the dog gets pushed off the side, and I feel guilty because that's what happened. It's just inevitable. You have your kids, and the dogs don't get that attention that they used to get.
I have
feel
7
so guilty.
rescues, and I feel guilty. Every new rescue means that's less time, I give to, this other animal, and you love them. That just means you love them.
But they understand it when because what you're doing is you're expanding the pack.
Yeah, the dog mentality for sure.
They understand it, and you know what? They want you to love as many as you can.
See, I'm like this though. Like once they're gone, I don't want any more dogs for a long time. That's how I feel. I don't want to go through this again.
I didn't ask for any of them. They all just came to me, and it was like as soon as some were getting ready to go, I'm thinking my counter's going down. There's just miraculously this other one. You guys have seen it.
Oh yeah, I know. But you're a cat lady.
They lead
Yeah, I didn't ask to be a cat lady.
They send them your way.
Yeah, especially cat. I swear cats do that. The way cats work, I've seen it with so many people. Like I said with my parents, with the strays that show up. I even have some strays that are like that come around my house, and it's like, hey, you need another pet? Like the way the cats work, the way that they play at it, it's they do have such personalities. They really do.
Reputation in your neighborhood from all the animals.
Yeah, but no other animals in this house. As I'm like not allowing it. It's like I've gone through. You go through it watching I just can't go through this watching them get old. It's heartbreaking. And
I've said that 3 times now.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have 3 more.
So here's the reason why it's so devastating for us. And I've read a lot of psychological studies too, and these are also included in my Pets in the Afterlife books. The dogs and cats age faster than humans, but because they always have the intelligence of a 3 to 5 year old child, that's the way we always look at them, no matter what age they are. So as humans, we are taught that our child will never predecease us. But because of that, with animals, they will always be 3 to 5 year old children, even if they're 15, 16 years old. And that's why it's more devastating for us to lose a pet than it is to lose a human relative.
Because it's like losing a child.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I totally get.
Some people never get over it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I learned that very young. My mama would always talk about her Huggy Bear dog that she lost to getting hit by a car. It never left her. She would not let us get a dog when I was a kid. They didn't get a dog till I moved out. They got 2 dogs after I moved out. It took, but my mom would like fight it. I wanted a dog so bad. And she let me get 1 dog when I was a little kid. And of course it chewed up all my Star Wars toys and we had to get rid of it. But that was it. She was like, I don't want a dog because it hurt her so bad. And it took her years. And then she got 2 Shih Tzus and those guys were her little buddies. She just lost one of them. And I just watched how bad it hurts her. But it is that they're like your children and it's hard to let them go.
Can I ask something aside of this? I'm curious about how you actually befriended Ed's spirit.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. So, like getting to know somebody over time, like once you meet somebody and you like them and you start talking to them, over time you get to know their personality, you get to know their quirky sense of humor, you get to know things that they like. And that's actually what happened with me and Ed. I got to know his kind of dry, sarcastic sense of humor. He would have me call Tom, my husband, names, goofy names, things that I wouldn't even think of. Like he had me call him an MOT one time, and when I said, "You're an MOT," and Tom said to me, "What does that mean?" And I don't even know why I said it, but I know why I said it because I heard Ed tell me, and I said, "Mean old thing." And he stopped me and he said, "Why did you call me that?" And I said, because Ed told me to call you that. And he said, Ed used to call me a mean old thing all the time. And then I heard Ed laughing. So over time, I've gotten to know Ed, his, just like you get to know a human person. So with that, after 14 years of having conversations with him, and sometimes I actually do have conversations with him, it's like he's become a friend.
Yeah, he's like a family member that's there, your friend, because he knows so much about you both now.
So Jason, what's funny is that so Ed has told me a lot of things about what had happened between him and Tom when they were together for 9 years, because Tom never talks about his past relationship.
Right.
So and so I would, I hear it from Ed, and then I would go over to Tom and say, by the way, Ed just told me this, and that you behaved this way, or you behaved badly or whatever. And Tom would say, I don't like it when you talk to Ed.
I wondered if that would, Tom would say, okay, that's enough. Because I can imagine I wouldn't want any of my past relationships coming through to my wife. I just know I wouldn't want to be like, nope.
It's like the note comparing.
Right, exactly.
So I always say that there's three people in this relationship, me, Tom, and Ed. And but here's the other thing. Tom also has the ability, like medium abilities, and what's freaky is that he channels my mother.
Got the worst end of the stick there. I think you got it worse.
Yeah, so when two mediums get together, it's a very interesting relationship.
Oh, you got it worse. Him getting your mom, that is way worse than you getting his past partner.
And
way worse.
Does he send you any signs when he wants to communicate? Or how do you know when he wants to talk to you when you're not asking for him?
Oh, Ed.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So he has a number of different things that he likes to do. Everybody has a habit that they like. Ed's favorite thing to do is send coins. A lot of spirits send coins.
Yeah.
And you can actually tell which person or pet it is, if you will, by looking at the year of the coin. That usually gives everybody a clue as to who it may be. It may be the year of their passing. It may be the year of their birth. Something like that. So what's fascinating is back in 2011, when Ed really came to me a lot, we decided to go visit Ed's dad. And I had never met Ed's dad. I didn't, I never met Ed in life. I didn't know who he was. Ed died in 1996. So Ed came through to me. And the book Kindred Spirits gives you the whole story about this. But Ed gave me all these disconnected signs, symbols, and pictures that I didn't know anything about. Turned out that they all related to Ed being at a certain place at a certain time with every single one of his relatives the 2 weeks before we visited. And one of the signs that he gave me was associated with coins. It wound up being a bank that he personally designed bank that somebody gave him. Now, 1996, 23 years ago, you don't really find a lot of 23-year-old coins.
Right.
But every time I'm thinking of Ed or every time I feel Ed around, there's a 1996 coin. So he loves his jingle, as he used to call it. And I love
My wife always jokes because I leave change everywhere. She says, "When you're a ghost, I'm going to find trails of change from you." But I've always been fascinated by the coin theme with spirits like that. The leaving coins, especially when you talk about them like leaving certain dates, like the 1996. Like, are spirits looking through couches, trying to like, oh nope, that's not I need the right year. Where are they getting this? Can they rain down some bigger bills more than coins? Like the whole power of that.
So that's what Tom actually said to me too. He said, when his grandmother died, she was sending him pennies and nickels and dimes, and he looked up into the sky and he goes, "Where are the $20 bills?"
Right. Let it rain. Come on. Give me some of the big bills. But I've always been fascinated with the whole coin thing. There's actually a haunted location. It was famous. They tore it down. They put a dentistry office, I think, or medical office, but it was a famous, it was in some ghost hunting books in my LaPorte County, LaPorte town. It was I Street house. It was haunted. And one of the things they describe is always these old gold coins that would be left. I'm like, well, leave me those, and then pennies and other stuff later would show up, and sometimes these old coins too at the clinic that they built over it. So it's fascinating. Where do they get this? I've never seen the skull. Have you seen the skull experiment, the documentary?
No.
It was a group of mediums that would get together like twice a week and try to summon spirit and document it. And there's times where they'd have stuff just get like old newspapers, old stuff that just would fall in front of them. Okay. And they had scientists investigate this. It's a really interesting documentary, but I always thought of like, where are spirits like hiding stuff somewhere, stuff they collect, just them physically putting material like that, papers, coins, old objects, it's like the scene in Poltergeist when like all the stuff rains down from the ceiling. It's old watches and coins. And it's like, did they find all the lost items somewhere? I don't know. It's just such a weird thing.
It's weird. I went to the cemetery here. Sam and me went last week, and just before Christmas, left some pennies on my uncle's gravesite. He died in 1975. We left a 1975 penny on there, and found 3 of them so far this week in random places like the driveway or on the sidewalk.
Like him saying hi back.
1975 pennies.
Absolutely.
Weird.
Yeah, like it could be any year, so many different issuing of pennies, but you're going to find 1975.
Yeah,
that's perfect. So Jamie, have you found coins?
What's that?
Has Jamie found coins too?
I find coins a lot, and I find coins a lot. In fact, I always have the habit of the first thing I do is I pick it up and look at the date. And just recently, when my sister was down, we were going on our walk, and when we first got to the top of the driveway, I looked down, there was a penny. I said, "Oh, angel present," and I look at it and I put it in my pocket, and it was 1977. It was a 1976 penny. And so then we're walking along the sidewalk, and then there was like another penny, another 1976. I thought, well, that's kind of strange. We go down the street. There was another penny on the sidewalk, a 1976. Get back around. We get back to the house. It was almost like somebody's changed, but we had gone through all these different turns, streets, everything. Right on the sidewalk was a penny. 4 pennies I picked up, all 1976. I mean, it wasn't my birth date, but the fact that they were all like 1 year, it was making, and I felt like my dad was with us on the walk at the time. Wow. And I had gotten some signs right before that. So when I saw the coins, that's what I was, thinking. But it was like each coin I would smile because it was like, like
you're following the trail of a spirit.
Yeah, just telling me, that he's here, and
Again, it amazes me the power of what spirits can do when it comes to manifesting objects like that. Come on, like I said, drop me the $20 bills.
It was almost like someone had a hole in their pocket, though. But it was just so random. But it's not.
Well, he wanted to make sure you got the message 4 times over.
Yeah, that we knew he was there.
That's awesome.
You think, what do you think Ed's purpose is in the whole, being a part of your lives?
I think that he is still looking out for Tom. We actually went to a psychic when we first, within the first year we dated, and they took us into, there were 2 of them, and they took us into 2 different rooms, and they both said the same thing. They said to Tom, there's a young male figure around you that was very intimately involved with you, that led you to find Rob. And then I was in the other room, and the psychic said the same thing. There's a male figure that's associated with Tom that led you to find Tom. So he
was matchmaker.
Yeah, he brought us together.
Matchmaker, make me a match. You do wonder how much the spirits do set up people and relationships too on the other side.
They are very busy.
Yeah, I imagine it. That you say you don't have jobs on the other side. I start thinking that they do, but it's more of a willing job.
It's not like a job in the physical world. They make their own jobs because they get involved with our lives, and they help us enrich our lives while we're here.
Now, you write a blog. Where can people find your blog at?
They can type in petspirits.com or robgutro.com. It's about pets and people. It's about ghosts, earthbound ghosts, and spirits who have crossed over. And you'll find all my references to my books there and all my upcoming events. And there's a lot of them.
Now, and then you do readings by email. So if somebody wanted that, what's the email they send to for that?
It's rgutro@gmail.com. And what I ask, since I've been getting overwhelmed with emails, like I get up between 40, 50 a week. I've been asking people if they would consider buying one of the books, and giving it at least part of a read so that they'll start to educate themselves on how spirits and ghosts communicate with us. And that way they'll be up on it. And
well,
it helps.
You want people to learn how to do. You want people to learn how to open up the communication themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote these books to help people, so people don't need a medium. They can actually see the signs, recognize the signs by themselves.
And that's really what it is. I mean, honestly, I think I tell people to trust their gut feeling, and I recognize signs here and there all the time. And more as I get older, I think I'm more and more opening up to the signs that I think spirit leaves. So yeah, I do think that's really the greatest point your books could make, is to tell people that it is around you and there's a way for you to realize it.
Yep. Trust your feelings, Luke.
Trust your feelings. Yes, definitely. Well, thank you, Rob. It was a pleasure to have you back on the show. I'd love to have you again. And I definitely want to check out your book, Kindred Spirits, When a Medium Befriends a Spirit. I find that so fascinating, to have that kind of relationship with a spirit like that kind of communication. I think more people have it and they don't even realize it. There's so many spirits involved in their lives. That's what I find so interesting. Well, thank you, Rob. That's it for the show, guys. Go check out Rob's blog. Go check out his books. Trust me, it's well worth it. Next Sunday, no show. I have inventory because I still work. I work a real job, and I got inventory that night. So no Paranormal Soup, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. And I don't know who I have as a guest in 2 weeks, but we got somebody coming on. See us then. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. Check us out on Patreon. $2 a month helps out the show. But really, right now, if you have even $1 to donate, go check out on my page. We have Kevin Malick's fundraiser on our Facebook page and on my profile page. You can go find it there. It's under Lori Cresslaw, is the person who started the fundraiser. If any donation you can make to help out for his funeral fund, it'd be greatly appreciated. And again, truly will miss Kevin Malick. I will miss being able to talk to him on this show. We really did lose a really good friend to the paranormal community, and it's going to be a heavy loss we're going to feel for a long time. All right, thank you guys. Have a great night. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.